David, Jenna Fischer.
Jenna Fischer, the lovely Jenna Fischer, who's pretty universally liked out there. I mean, very sweet, very talented, very fun and charming.
Famous for The Office. She's done a lot of movies and a lot of other things, but she was Pam on The Office, the smash.
For all 98 seasons.
Yeah.
That show just kept grinding it out. And
yeah.
There's a spinoff now we talk about. We don't only talk about The Office, of course. She does plays. She's doing a new one we're talking about. She talks about, I asked her about Nick Swartz and about Will Ferrell. She loves SNL. And I hit her up after the interview. And, I think she had what we had. She's like exactly what we say. Did we ask the right questions? Was I interesting? Was I fun? And we always finish and going, I think we did that wrong, whatever. But she's very sweet about it. She wanted to do a good job. She listens to the show. She has her own show.
The Office
Angela.
Ladies. Yeah. And she tells some really funny stories, interesting stories about her struggles before she got on The Office. And there's a whole arc of story involving Molly Shannon. And that's a very interesting
I like
thing.
that story. Yeah.
And sometimes when we finish the podcast, we keep our laptop open. So I ended up talking with her for a half hour afterwards. She's very easy.
Well, she's easy to chat
talk
with.
to.
Yeah.
So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this one.
Jenna Fischer.
I was just asked by our producer, and it's a profound question. When you're driving around, a long drive, 2-hour drive, whatever, what's your entertainment? XM news, music, podcasting, or
just rap?
Phone calls to pay back. You have 10 seconds.
Ooh, it's not music. I do not listen to music. My first car did not have a working radio, and I just got used to driving in silence. And it's my preference. But now I would say news, podcasts, or phone calls.
So I love the idea that
music.
You literally could go like just the silence, 2 hours, 3 hours, just silence.
Jesus, it's chasing.
I mean,
it's
nowadays,
healthy, by the way.
I don't know. Yeah, I drove from St. Louis, Missouri, all the way to California with no radio. Just open windows, also no air conditioning.
In the trunk.
My first car was really it just moved you from one place to another. There was no luxury involved.
You're not
we didn't have
like
air conditioning,
what year of car?
I don't remember. I think it was like an 86. I mean, it had originally, when it was built, had these features. They just didn't work anymore.
So you do The Office all those years, and then you buy a used Buick from 1988? I mean, I'll talk to Carell if I have to, or
no.
I'm going to call Greg Daniels.
Fact,
okay, go ahead.
No. I had a Mazda 323 hatchback.
Sweet.
And that was the car I drove across the country.
Okay.
And then I upgraded to a Volkswagen Jetta, which was my favorite car maybe I've ever had. It was awesome. Mm-hmm. But then when I got my big office paycheck, I got a stupid car.
Okay.
Yeah, Rolls Royce.
I walked into a Mercedes dealership and they had a little sedan. They only made like 7 of these. And it had like the engine of a race car, but in like the body of like a C-Class Mercedes. So it was like cute and compact, but I was 100% an asshole driver. Like, because I could cut around anyone. It was great.
Did you keep it?
I leased it and I gave it up after the lease. And I went more practical.
We all have that story. You want me to go first, David? Because it's similar to yours.
Please.
Okay, got a little money, some movie, whatever, got extra money. Went to a Mercedes dealership. Bought a convertible little Mercedes coupe. Like, oh, wow, this is awesome. Drove it for 3 or 4 days and realized when I had the canopy up, I was looking through a plastic windshield in the back. So took it back. Traded in for a SLE or a 420 SLE. And then I started getting people paying attention to me. I lived in the Valley when I would go to like 7-Eleven or a gas station. So then I went to Honda. I just wanted a lo-fi car. That's my story.
Well, the problem with LA is that you get this awesome car and then you can only go like 32 miles an hour in it because you're always stuck in traffic. So it's kind of like after a few years, I was like, oh, the best I can do is like whip down the on-ramp.
Yeah, 300 horsepower and you're just...
And then that's it. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Total waste.
When I moved out, I got something when I first paycheck and I went and I had no car. So I got a car. Dana knows this story. $6,000 Honda. I didn't go flashy.
Mm-hmm.
I only had 6. And then I drove it to the Improv and then I brought it out. I brought my buddy out to show him and it was stolen.
What?
So
how long? You had it for like a night? One day? You went one place?
Yeah.
And Kevin Nealon drove a car eerily similar to that. I'm not saying he had anything to do with the robbery, but it was kind of weird. But my first car was a Volkswagen Bug. Are you going to go to first car when you got an extra paycheck?
Me?
No, you are. We know your story.
We know my story. Yeah.
David, you got...
Oh, I had my fair share because I do like cars, but my neck gives me trouble. So every time I get a car I love, it's just too painful. And like Jenna said, when you're starting and stopping all day, it's not like you live in the Midwest and you can floor it and there's big parking lots. Like when you go to Wendy's in Arizona, there's like 300 parking spots. And when you go here, there's one at Kmart and you go, are we all sharing this? You can't believe when you get to LA how little there's some businesses have absolutely no parking. So I don't know what we're supposed to do. So that kind of threw me. And I realized I didn't need big fancy cars. I could just tell people I had them. I didn't really need them.
My first car was also a manual transmission.
Oh boy.
And my left foot would like truly ache at the end of like driving all day in LA because you were constantly just going like in and out of third and fourth gear. There was like, you never made it to fifth gear in this car.
God, no one has a stick anymore.
No, this was the cheapest car. Like the manual transmission was the cheapest car. My dad's very practical. He was like, you'll get this car.
Now,
I'll teach you how to drive it.
Firm, but
this is all you need. You don't need any frills.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In St. Louis.
Yeah.
So
you've been to St. Louis, I bet?
I'm going to St. Louis to do a show.
Have
Heather,
you had Emo's Pizza in St. Louis?
Emo's Pizza in St. Louis? No, but I like it as a town. I like walking around. I like the stadiums are really close in. You know, not in the...
Jenna, do you know what Chesterfield is?
Chesterfield is where I grew up.
Oh, is it really?
Chesterfield is where my family lives now.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I actually grew up in like Manchester / Chesterfield in an unincorporated area. But yeah, Chesterfield for sure. Why?
Because that's where I'm going for my tour. And they said, I was with Nikki Glazer this weekend and she's from St. Louis. And she goes, why don't they put on your tour St. Louis? No one, it says Chesterfield. And I go, oh, I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going.
If you're from St. Louis, you know what Chesterfield is.
You'll know? Okay,
yeah,
good.
It's not like, it's not downtown. I mean, St. Louis is downtown. You're going to be in the burbs. You're in the suburbs.
That's fine with me. And I think it's a great place. I've been there before. I think it's new. Anyway, we'll set up comps for everyone you know from high school. Other than that.
Great.
You know,
be careful
Dana,
what you say. My high school ladies are going to come out for your show.
It's super fun. Dana and I had a question. First of all, I'll tell Dana a little pre-question that you don't know.
All right, let's try to keep our guests off balance, like with questions she's not asked all the time.
Oh yeah, we're here to.
We want to surprise you.
She's going to come out here dizzy.
I love it.
So
great. Everyone loves that in an interview.
I thought of doing this with Dana, and then I called Jenna. Right, Jenna? Do you remember this?
Yes, of course. Yes.
And you were very sweet. You took the call and you kind of walked me through how it works and what you did. Mm-hmm. And it really gave me a little boost to say this might be fun. And if it has to be a Dana, it has to be. That's fine, whatever. And then Dana had a question of, do you really need a partner?
Has it ever gone through your mind? I could have done this by myself, and then the money doubles. Has that ever gone through your mind? or maybe Angela, but that
Dana and I think about that all day, every day.
People always ask us forever, why? Why us? Why now? Are you really friends? Do you get that? I mean, you guys are famously really close friends. But with Spade and I, was like, what? The Tommy Boy guy and the Wayne's World guy? I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, also because Angela and I were frenemies on The Office. Our characters were not friends. And people are always very surprised to learn that we are best friends in real life. I could not have done the podcast without her. I am all like structure and order and spreadsheets. My version of Office Ladies podcast would be very informative, but also way less entertaining.
Yes.
So Angela brings all of the like funny and all of the quirky and all of like the weird observations. So we're a pretty good pair.
Yeah, I think that's smart that you did that because there is kind of safety in numbers. Dana is way better at this. And I don't think I could do it myself. I think Dana really, really drives it and makes it easier to do it for
today.
Me. But jokingly, it's fun to joke around with him too, because he's a funny guy, obviously. And we have a good time with that. And I think you guys have a real friendship. So people like to hear that you're friends, even though it doesn't seem like it on the show.
You guys, I love your podcast. Like, you have no idea how excited I am to be on your podcast right now. I listen to you guys. Really? I think you are so good together. Dana, I can't believe you're talking to me right now. That's kind of blowing my mind. I'm a huge Saturday Night Live nerd. The greatest part about being on The Office and being on NBC was that I got to breathe the same air as Saturday Night Live people. This is like that we would have to be at the same corporate parties together.
Right, yeah.
And I was a total groupie. That is who I gravitated toward. It was just the coolest. But that's going way back. I actually have a crazy story from my very early days in LA.
Let's hear it.
And Saturday Night Live. Okay, so I made my living when I landed in LA as a typist and a transcriber. And you know how you'd have to go to those events? They're called like the Television Critics Association. And you would sit on a panel as a cast and you would introduce new cast members. This would be for any show. Well, my job was to go and sit in that room and take notes and then go back to a hotel room, a hot hotel room filled with like 12 people and 12 computers, and then listen to audio and transcribe these like press events.
Wow.
These conversations.
Yes. And if we got our work done on time, by that evening, we were allowed to go to the quote unquote parties, which, as you know, are really just cast members of TV shows mingling with reporters who are trying to get sound bites. But we would get to go, we'd get to eat the food, drink the drinks, and just watch all the famous people. Well, all I wanted more than anything was to go to the Saturday Night Live party. I wanted it more than my little new heart in LA could stand it. And so I knew what night it was coming up, and I started planting the seed the day before. I started pretending like I didn't feel good because I was going to make an excuse that I was sick so that I could get off work on time and then sneak into this party. But I needed the hours, you know, so I planted that seed. The next day I was like, man, I'm still not feeling good. At 3:00, I'm like, I'm so sorry. I got to go. I got to go home. The guy was like, fine. I had planted a change of clothes in my car. I changed into a cocktail dress. I sneak into the party, and I can't even tell you, it was amazing. Norm Macdonald, I'm looking at him in the flesh. Wow. My mind is blown. Then I see Molly Shannon, and I think, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go say hi to Molly Shannon. And I walk up to her. She's giving sound bites to the press. And I say, Molly Shannon, I am a new actress in LA, and I just admire you so much. And I just wanted to tell you just what you mean to me. You know, the stuff you say.
Yeah, sure.
She looked at me, took me by the shoulders, looked me deep in the eyes, and said, don't give up. Whatever you do, don't give up. It took me 10 years to get on Saturday Night Live. And my best advice to you is just know it'll happen eventually if you just stick with it, okay?
Wow.
You guys.
Sounds like the Molly we know.
Yep, I was about to say,
Right?
she'll
Oh,
say
yeah.
something nice.
Amazing.
She's the
And I went and I had this encounter with her, and then I turn around and my boss from the transcription room is standing there along with everybody else who got off work on time, and they came to this party. And I was like, am I fired? And he goes, you are fired.
No.
I was like, okay.
What?
He fired me. But it was fine, guys, because I met Molly Shannon and she gave me that advice.
Shit.
And I went home and I told my mom. And every time I had a hard day for the next 10 years, my mom would say to me, Jenna, don't you forget what Molly Shannon told you. She said, don't give up. She said it took her 10 years.
Yeah.
You guys wait for it. 10 years later, I'm at the premiere of Walk Hard, the movie Walk Hard that I did with John C. Reilly.
Yeah.
Right.
I shit you not. Guess who's at that party?
Molly Shannon.
Molly Shannon.
Your boss.
And I got to go up to her and I got to say, Molly Shannon, here's this story. You told me 10 years. And she was like, and look, it's 10 years later and here you are. And I got a picture with her. I made the photographer come over and take a picture of us. Is that the greatest thing ever?
Does Molly know, has she heard this story? Or did you just...
Yes, I told her that night at the Walk Hard premiere.
Wow.
Unbelievable.
But now...
Yes, and I wrote a book and I wrote that story in the book and I have the picture in the book too. Mm-hmm.
Well, when I met David, he was 19. I said, you hang with this, and in 6 months, don't give up, because in 6 months, no, David was out of the blocks fast. If it was a sprinter, he was like, boom.
Dana said, you're going to move to LA, and in 6 months, you'll get crabs. And I go, okay.
Police Academy, hello. He got a movie
I got a movie early on.
21
That's the Police Guy movie that I made. I had $6,000 to buy the car that got stolen, so I was back to zero.
Wow.
Yeah, great story. You still type 85 words per minute. That's nothing to sneeze at.
I do.
Yeah. 90% accuracy.
It's all in the accuracy. Anyone can type garbage quickly.
You're 90%, right?
Yeah, I mean, right? You want to type words. Anyone can just type nothing.
My father was
quickly.
a high school
True.
teaching, a typing teacher, my father, for decades.
Teaching typer.
Can you type? Can you guys type with all your fingers, or are you like
Fuck
two-finger typers?
I can't do anything.
If you see a non-taught young person, like in their 20s, they're really fast. And I don't know if it's technically all using all their fingers, but we picked it up later. But I'm fast enough. But I don't.
Jenna, I have a good question that ties into Saturday Night Live.
What
when
is
you did Blades of Glory, you wound up getting to have sex with Will Ferrell, right?
Yes, that's right. I had a
That's
sex
a big
scene with
deal.
Will. Mm-hmm.
That's
my
one of
gosh.
the best all-time goats of SNL.
For sure. Yeah.
That was nuts. But also, by the way, Amy Poehler was in that movie.
Oh, that's right, Amy.
So just playing my sister.
Wowee.
Mm-hmm.
And Will Arnett was in that movie. Yeah, I mean, that was terrifying. That was terrifying. And Will was so polite when we shot that scene because he
He's
had
so
to
nice.
grab my boobs several times. But what was crazy about it was I probably had on more clothes in that scene where I look like I'm just in a nightie than I normally wear. Because they put you in Spanx and then a corset and then a thing and they painted my body with makeup. I mean, I felt so covered. It was crazy.
He has to go and grab your boobs through your stuff, but it's that kind of thing. You can't even feel it because you've got 18 layers of...
Yeah, it's like I was wearing body armor. So I was kind of maybe wink when you grab them because I can feel nothing.
And this was
Nudge me.
predates intimacy coordinators. There was no one there.
There was no.
It was
there was just
okay.
It was just
It was
here's
just
what
a
we're
director
doing.
going, let's do this.
Yes, exactly.
Was Swartzen in that? Nick Swartzen, that little fool?
Yes, he was.
Oh, my God. We were friends
Yeah.
with Nick, and, it's a real roller coaster, Jenna. I'll tell you that.
It is. I found him lovely on the film, but
No,
what do I
he's
know?
funny. No, he's great. He's so funny. Hall pass. We haven't even gotten to the goddamn
that's a great
office. Look,
I have a question
so
about the
stuff.
Office.
What is it?
The question is for you and your partner, rewatching all these episodes and talking about them.
Yeah.
How is your perception, if it at all, changed about the show, or what did you learn about the show, or if anything? Because it is now officially a phenomenon in the way it travels around and then explodes again. It's evergreen, and it's a unique show. And yesterday I was watching The Office with Ricky Gervais. Very different. I mean, it you say it came from that office, but it has its own complete original thing. Greg Daniels, one of the great writers. So what did you guys, what do you feel about that thing after doing hundreds of podcasts? Did you go through every episode at some point?
Every single episode, all 201 episodes. And then a lot of interviews with cast and crew. Writers, exactly. My biggest takeaway from having rewatched it was that it's really good the whole time. Because I think there was this lore, especially among the cast and the creatives, that maybe we hit our peak in season 3 or season 4. And also this belief that the 2 seasons after Steve left, we were just treading water and maybe they weren't as good. But when I watched everything, some of my favorite episodes were in seasons 8 and 9 after Steve had left. There were still these amazing storylines. And also, I have to say now, when I look back, some of my favorite episodes were also in seasons 4 through 6. Dinner Party was season 4. Michael Scott Paper Company, that whole arc was in season 5. And that's just great TV. And but yeah, I think, some of the award nominations stopped after season 3. So I think maybe we got in our heads and thought, I guess we're not creating as great.
I think that just happens no matter what.
You're not the new shiny object anymore.
Exactly. And
that's
they kind of slow down. Thing.
I mean, when you're watching yourself and you're watching a thing and then you come on and stuff, and it's something you did years ago, do you ever sometimes, because you sound like you're a normal actor, comedian that's sort of a little self-critical. How was I? Do you ever kind of look at yourself in a scene and go, damn, I nailed that? Why did I feel insecure? Or what's that like?
I mean, I have both reactions. Okay. Sometimes I watch it and I'm like, I'll never do work that good again. Shit, that was great. But then there's other scenes where I just cringe, where I'm like, oh God, I remember how I struggled with that and I couldn't do it. And now here it is for everyone to see. And I guess I just have to move on. So I've had both reactions.
And I don't know the complete specifics of this, but first of all, it was always an ensemble. How great Carell is in that part is everybody knows that. But it always was an ensemble, and so many people came out of it and now have these long careers. But it's. I forgot my train of thought. Sorry.
Oh. Do you ever have something
Carell in my head?
Jenna, when you can watch it and say, I was in the pocket, because sometimes you watch it and you go, you're just in the pocket of going, this is a great scene. This whole idea of this episode's working. And when they whip the camera back, get a great look, whip back to you, perfect timing, get a great look. And when you see it, you go, because you can only feel the camera when you're shooting and you don't really know. And then you go, God, they nailed that. Boom, boom, edited well. Everything about this is that's why people really get enchanted by, and also just your face is so part of The Office and it's so cute. And they always cut to you and you have these little storylines. It's really, I see why people get hooked on it. No matter when you turn it on, you can just grab any episode.
I remember what I forgot, was how much, if any, improvisation was there, because it comes off very improvisational in totem. But I know there wasn't completely improvised. I know, that's a pretty cool word, right? So were you allowed to kind of go, you guys, could I try this? Do you mind if I do, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it was really collaborative. And, so many of the writers were also actors on the show. So they were with us and they would be sometimes pitching alternate jokes right there on the set.
That's kind of fun, yeah.
So that was neat. And we did a lot of improvising, but I don't know how much of it actually made the cut. We got to play and have fun, but I would say like 90% of what you see on the screen was written on the page, down to like they would write in ellipses for our speech, like so you knew to kind of pause because they knew they were going to whip the camera during that pause, and so they could get back to you. So there was a very elaborate choreography of whipping the camera a little too late so that it seemed, and you'd have to give handles.
So it seemed like
so it seemed like
they didn't quite do it right. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so a lot of times when we would do a rehearsal, they would say, Jenna, will you give a handle before your next line so we have time for that camera whip? So that would be, we would add things like, well,
they'd find you
so that they could find you, like in the right timing. But
so great, but it also seems very real. Like
a lot of the nonverbal acting and those cutaways to a character that isn't saying a line, but just sort of nonverbally doing some kind of attitude and stuff. It was immediately just felt so new. I'm not going to say fresh. David would use that word a lot, but immediately, I think for comedians as well, watching it going, this looks cool. This looks fun. This looks different and really funny. It doesn't push at all. You know, it's the
well, we had two camera operators with cameras on their shoulders, and both of these guys were from Survivor. So these guys had like walked through the wilderness with the Survivor people capturing Survivor. So this is where they came from in the documentary world. And camera A, Randall Einhorn, who was also our cinematographer, who went on to be a director and is now, the executive producer of Abbott Elementary and all those things. Randall was our A camera, and his job was to get all of the dialogue. And then Matt Sohn, he was our B camera. And then his job was to get all of those things you're talking about, Dana, all of the acting that was happening in the background. So whenever a scene was happening, we were all in the background of each other's scenes all day long on set, the full 12 hours. Steve Carell included. I can't tell you how many times Steve Carell had to sit in Michael Scott's office just to be in the background of Jim and Pam looking at each other.
Because we get a piece of him.
Yeah, because we're gonna see a piece. We're gonna see a piece of you is like something we could put on a mug. That'd be a great cast gift. And so he would grab and push in on all of the, anyone who was in the background of a scene and get their reactions in real time. It was such a cool way to work.
Yeah, and you have to stay alive, though.
You do.
Every scene.
But it keeps your energy up,
sure.
because that's the hardest thing for me about acting in movies is like the long amounts of downtime between when you're actually acting. It's just like, oh, God, I got to ramp up again.
Yeah, and it's just, I don't know if this is the correct way to say it, but if you feel like you're discovering something new in the moment, it's really nice. It does keep your brain alive. And in traditional movies, what I was doing, you do the 3 masters at 7 or 8 a.m. or whatever. And then by 5 or 6 o'clock, you start. And, in the master 8 hours ago, your left elbow was up and you open the car door at this point. Yeah. It's the antithesis of what you guys had, at least the way it felt. It popped. It felt real,
For sure. And we did not have marks. Those for people out there, like you put tape on the ground and then you have to stand on it because that's how you're going to be in focus. But we had no marks. And if the boom dipped in shot, we just kept it in because, it worked in the world. And and when I finished, going back to Blades of Glory was the first big movie I did after being cast on The Office. And I repeatedly kept looking down the barrel of the camera. Like I would do a scene with Will and Amy, and then I would like give a look to camera. I'd be like, fuck, I can't do that. And also I suddenly had to hit a mark, and I was so stiff. It was really stressful because I'd been in this other world.
You can watch when people on movies, sometimes have you ever watched someone looks down when they walk in, look for their mark, and then they look up?
I love it.
So horrifying. I want to say also,
all that.
I was going to say the show is fresh, but it's funny that the term fresh is stale. But also,
it's a problem. I'm going to bring it back. The Office was fresh, and the new one called The Paper on Peacock. Have you seen that? Do you know much about it?
Okay, I haven't seen it, but I got to go to the set. Angela and I got special access to the set and got to talk to all the actors. We got to see it. It's really cool, but we're not allowed to say anything. Oh, yeah, I think that it's in the can. Like they finished it. It comes out in September.
Oh, interesting.
September on where?
Peacock.
I don't know. Peacock, right?
Peacock.
So with John Krasinski, like the Jim and Pam narrative became such a big thing. I talked to some people in their early 20s today, told them I was going to interview you, and on The Office, I go, she was Pam. Oh, Pam, this is like a famous character. And Jim and Pam. I'm just kind of curious because John Krasinski, I find it really, really interesting how he came up with that horror film, The Quiet. What was it? A
Quiet Place.
Quiet Place. And it's interesting when actors just all of a sudden you see them and like, wow, this guy can really direct. And did you see any seeds of that in him intellectually or just the way he was around? Was that a surprise to you when he came out directing?
It was a surprise to none of us.
Oh, I didn't think so.
John, I would always say to John, I think you're going to be like our Tom Hanks. Like, remember how Tom Hanks did Bosom Buddies?
Totally.
And he was like a very famous, successful TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But like when you think of Tom Hanks, you don't think of Bosom Buddies. You think of everything else Tom Hanks has done. And I was like, I think The Office is going to be your Bosom Buddies. Like you're going places. It's very clear.
And did he look down at the ground and go, "Oh shucks, Jenna," or how did he?
Did.
He did.
He's very he's very humble in that way. Like that would be if I say that to him, that's very embarrassing to him.
Sure,
he doesn't want to be like fussed over like that.
But
I was like, no, it's true, Mister.
Well, it's a Herculean task to direct a movie. I mean, just physically and mentally. But
Dana fusses over me all the time.
Fusses?
You fuss over me. I want to hear more about you being a telephone psychic when you got...
Yeah, that was...
She worked as a car wash.
I did work at a car for 3 summers, and that was my best job. I worked at Long John Silver's. That was my first job. I worked at an ice creamery serving ice cream, and then I got the job at the car wash. All of those were on this road called Manchester Road on in St. Louis, out in the suburbs. And I got fired from Long John Silver's. I got fired from the ice creamery. And my dad would say, "Oh, you're just looking to get fired from every business on Manchester Road, I guess." But the car wash stuck. And that was great. There was great money. I was outside just drying off the cars,
How big are tips
simple
in that world? Because I try to tip well, but...
Okay, this
Gorgeous
is like
Jenna.
Like back then. Well, and by the way, they would always make me give the gentlemen back their cars.
Oh, the
you
keys.
Have to you got to stand at the car and wave.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In your little shorts and your little cutoff shirt and like your car's ready.
I'm soaking wet. Sorry.
I'm not, not to brag, but I would get a 5 sometimes. I get $5.
$5.
Mm-hmm. But then I had to put it in like the group bucket.
Oh, no. Pooling tips?
Pooling tips. Yeah.
You're in your...
I mean, a few of them made it into my pocket. I'm not going to lie.
Now, what percentage of you is really a psychic? Do you think some of you?
I would say 0%.
But do you believe in the potentiality of psychics at all?
Yeah.
Or do you think it's all...
They creep me out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't want a psychic to tell me what's going to happen to me. I like to believe I have free will.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to have that. That just will give me nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
I saw one psychic one time and it still haunts me.
Yeah. It will change what you'll do. The second they tell you something, you'll make a different decision. That's what I feel. Like, you will do this and this. They go, okay. As they'll say, random example. You'll get married within the next 10 years. So you meet someone and maybe you give them a different chance than you would before. You're like, I think this is the guy I'm going to marry.
That's exactly right.
It's weird. You change, every little thing changes a little bit. So you can't really get the same outcome, it feels.
I went to a psychic in college and my big question for her was, am I going to marry this guy I have a crush on? I was obsessed with him. Am I going to marry him? I can marry him. She said, no, you're not. You're not going to marry him. She said, but you're going to be famous one day. I said, I am. I want to be an actress. I'm going to be famous. She said, you're not going to be famous for acting. You're going to be famous in the world of religion.
What?
Yeah.
Well,
she said I was going to be a famous religious leader.
Well,
she had it with acting. She should have
Here's a review. Here's a review that I brought. Office Ladies is a religious experience. This was from the St. Louis Dispatcher. No, I made that up.
Dispatcher.
If you want to have fun.
You have a play, by the way. You've done plays. It looks like from your prep here, you've done plays, but you have another one coming up, Ashland Avenue?
Ashland Avenue, world premiere at the Goodman Theater in Chicago. Yeah, I'm heading out there in August for rehearsals, and then the play opens in September.
Tickets go on sale in June on 27th. Now, doing a play, Dane and I were just talking about this before you came on. Doing a play, is it more exciting, or is it just something I couldn't even imagine wrapping my head around the full script that you have to memorize? Does that take days, weeks, or are you good at that?
It takes weeks. I think I'm okay at it. Plays are my favorite thing. I was a theater major. There's no money in doing theater, but it's where my heart is. And what I love is that you get to tell the whole story and go on the character's complete journey every night. You don't have to prepare it and then you shoot it out of order. And I also just love that it lives and breathes with the audience, and each play can only be seen one time. Like each performance is slightly different.
Yes.
And you have it, and then just only the people who were there got to see it. It just is really magical to me. And I love it. It's all I want to do moving forward. I want to just be a theater actress.
It's interesting. I've gotten more into plays the last 10 years, just in London. I'm not an intellectual in New York and stuff. And it's interesting, the curtain call, and then they stand and there's a standing ovation. And then you can tell by their body language how they felt, especially when they're walking off. Like sometimes they're slumping, and sometimes you see someone literally twirl around almost or high-fiving.
We nailed it.
You know that you saw one that had that chemistry. Like you said, they're not always at that level. That's why you have
Right. They're like fingerprints. Dana, I think you'll agree, stand-up is I go on the road, going mostly to places Jenna lived. But when I go on the road, you do a show and everyone goes, oh, I saw your show. But you remember that city and you go, oh, that one went pretty well. Even though it's just microscopically different.
Yeah.
But sometimes you get off and you go, I could not get it going perfectly. And some nights you're like, from the second I went out, it was perfect. I said everything right. I had the right attitude. And so plays are like that, where whoever comes is going to see that night's experience. And it will be a hair different.
The audience is the partner in many ways. Is it
Yeah,
comedic, a drama?
They steer it.
Or is it a pure drama? Or...
It is a comedy, but it will also break your heart into a million pieces. So what it's about is it's about a guy who owns an old TV shop in Chicago on Ashland Avenue. And he's a guy who used to have a dozen TV shops in Chicago, but mom and pop shops have gone away for the big box, places. And so he's being honored by the city of Chicago for being a small business owner. I play his daughter. And basically it's a play about this man dealing with being in his 70s, and basically life is kind of telling him, we don't really need what you have to offer anymore. He's dealing with his own relevancy. The thing that he's good at is owning this TV shop and selling people TVs. But it's well, you know what? We don't need that anymore. And so what do you do with that when the world is kind of done with your skill? And so it's kind of heartbreaking, but it's also a comedy. And then as his daughter, who has grown up just being in this TV shop as well, and it looks like it's going away, I have to decide, well, I'm kind of getting a chance here to do something else with my life and strike out on my own. And what does that mean to me?
Do you feel like the audience is, obviously they're familiar who you are from The Office, and then they want to come see you. And so how different is this character compared to Pam?
This character is different from Pam, for sure. And that's something that's my whole career since Pam, is that most people just want to see more Pam. It doesn't totally bother me. But I think I'm going to be, I think you'll be able to go on this journey.
Yeah.
Even, I think it'll be okay.
I would say, because an audience, I'm doing stand-up, they do want to see characters that I did on SNL, and I just of course I'll do them. They're my hits. The only thing worse than having hits or a hit show is not having a hit show. So it's just,
there it is. That's right.
Yeah. So it's a good problem to have. And I think that from reading your guest prep, you've just done a lot of stuff since The Office. So it certainly was a starting point for you. Do you still just love it? Do you just love performing like you used
to?
Yeah.
I do. I think I'm a mom now. I have 2 kids. And one of the things that was really hard, though, was just the amount of focus and, frankly, like self-involvement that is necessary to be an actor or a performance artist,
I got that down.
But it's true. Like, you don't want to go all the way into narcissism because that's a real bummer. But there is a type of selfishness and self-involvement that is necessary for being an artist, because that's how you create. That's how you get in the space to create. And but that lane is not compatible with the kind of parent I want to be. I want to be a kid-focused, kid-centered type of parent. And so I have changed the things I've said yes to, or the things I do acting-wise since I had kids, mostly so that they were kind of like more softballs, like things I could do without getting too dark or self-involved or selfish, things that I could completely leave at work. I wasn't bringing anything home with me that was going to like bleed into their lives.
Old as time, old as show business, all those kind of conflicts. And one thing that occurred to me recently, why it's sort of emotional or personal, like I have a lot of good friends who maybe real estate agents or different type of jobs, but we are our product, our physicality, our voice, who we are. And so it's a personal thing. You're out there doing the play. And if it's not going well, you didn't feel you had enough time to prep, it's just personal. So I think it is really common and difficult to balance the emotion with the family versus just how personal it is as a performer and artist. It's like,
and when kids come along, you're just, now suddenly it's their world and you can't even help it. It just goes away. You're like, now I'm lasered on this. And I can't be like I was,
That's exactly right.
That's like in part of your life where it changes.
There are some people in showbiz. I think Beyonce has her daughter touring with her, who's like 12. Yeah. There are some people who just do that kind of lifestyle, but
who's richer than me.
That's different than giving your kids kind of a stable, old-fashioned lifestyle.
Well, I remember I talked to a family therapist like early on because I like therapy. And I was talking about wanting to have kids and trying to figure out how am I going to balance that with, being an actor. And she said something that really stuck with me. She said, well, there's kind of 2 types of families. You can have parent-centered homes or child-centered homes. And she's like, and there's no judgment which one you want to pick. But in a parent-centered home, if you have a career, your children will orbit around you and your career. And if you go to a movie, you bring them with you and you have tutors and they sort of like just go into your life. She's like, but in a child-centered home, you center it around the children. And if you need to go do a project, she was like, imagine like your family is flowing like a river. And rather than diverting the whole river to the movie, you take a little stream by yourself, you do the movie, and then you rejoin the river later. But the goal is to keep the river doing its thing. And I really liked that. And I thought, I want to do that one.
Could you, I don't know if you want to do it publicly, but could I get the number of that therapist? Or
I think you gave us solid bullet points.
That's a pretty good little,
help us.
What do you call that? An analogy, a metaphor? I don't know. It's one of those things.
It was great. Yeah. It was great. She also said, like, something that's hard, though, is she said when you pick the person you want to have kids with, she's like, you're going to want a person who agrees with you. because there's nothing worse than one parent who wants a parent-centered home and another parent who wants a a child-centered home. And then she also said people who have grown up in parent-centered homes have a very hard time creating kid-centered homes because they're like, hey, wait a second. I'm the adult now. It's my turn.
Yeah.
So it's right. Like you grew up like revolving around your parent. And then if you revolve around your kid, you're like, when was my shot?
Yeah.
I thought it was just so much to chew on, right?
Yeah. Well, the 60s was so different, I guess it was a parent-centric. It was, you just were so much more independent. Like I was walking to school at age 5, and there were no helmets,
for
the
sure.
whole thing. And so it's become very child-centric, It used to be children should be seen but not heard, and now it's adults should keep their mouths shut when we're watching,
And Dana, you wear a helmet now, though, when you go to the mailbox. But that's his own choice.
That's my own choice.
It's a fashion choice. Jenna, two more things before we let you go. But one, I thought, when you do a play, I think of this when I do stand-up on the road. When you do a play, I think what would scare me is you have to feel good every day. Like you have to go there and prep yourself. It sounds stupid, but to stand, to sit, to go through, to be fully alert for those 2 hours, whatever, that's kind of a hard thing. Does it ever even cross your mind, or you're always just kind of pop to it?
No, I mean, I have a bunch of like rituals and superstitions that I do.
Oh yeah, you do. Okay,
yeah.
good.
Do you guys? I have like a vocal warm up. I have like a body warm up. I have a meal that I like to eat because I know that it's not going to make me feel too full or too hungry.
Or sick or anything. Yeah. You don't want to get stomach ache.
No, I'm definitely not experimenting with any kind of new food.
Yep.
Do you have that?
Yeah. I mean, Dana and I were just talking last week, like before we went on stage, I get an eyelash in my eye once in a while. It happened last week again, Dana. And anything can happen right before you walk out. And you're like, I can't pee. I can't eat. I can't do anything. I have to feel good for the next hour straight. There can be no distractions. And it's very weird because your life, you can always poke at your phone. You can look at this. You can go restroom and you go this. And a play's even longer. And just to feel like you got a grumbly stomach or your back hurts or something, you're like, oh shit, can I do this? Do I call in somebody? So weird.
I had a shooting pain in my left leg, kind of inside my left leg. And so all of a sudden my left leg was inoperable. I was playing in front of 2,000 people and I was and I'm like, okay, got to go with this, incorporated into the act, and then it worked itself out. What I was interested in also, besides we all do that, and I think it's great. You have the certain show day prep. But the gentleman who is playing your father, what is his name?
Fran Guinan.
So Larry David was just talking about when he does usually whatever he's doing. I don't know if he does stand up or whatever. It's just the fatigue goes away once there's the audience, And then I think in a play, you're holding on to him, he's holding on to you. And that connection can hopefully make the part of your brain going, how am I doing? How's it going? All that go away at times, right? That's the electricity of it. If you get so involved in the scene with your partner that it feels exhilarating, right? When you know you're connecting and the audience is with you. That's what you live for, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the dope of the whole thing of live performance. I mean, that's the thing we're chasing. That's the high you're chasing.
That's the hit, right?
Every time.
Sure. And even if your prep doesn't go as well as you want or you ate too much, you still always have that possibility of that happening.
Yes. Yes.
And also, if they get something wrong, the audience doesn't know this. They could miss a line, you cover for them. There's little things that are like teamwork things that are fun to do that you get to the end and someone's like, hey, you saved me. I spaced out. And the audience doesn't really know what's going on, but you forgot a prop. There's little things that keep it alive, but that's kind of the fun teamwork of it all, like in a show also.
That happened to me during a show. I did a show off Broadway and me and this other actress were on stage and we're only on stage for like 4 lines because we don't like each other. And we're waiting for the same guy. We like the same guy and we're waiting for him to walk in and break the tension. And he didn't come on stage. he didn't come. He just missed his entrance. And so I started improvising, which then the playwright was like, oh my God, I can't believe people thought I wrote those lines. That was just like terrible improvisation. I'm like, what were we supposed to do?
Right.
We're just sitting there. No one was coming on.
It's an art piece if you sit in silence for 12 minutes waiting while they find the guy at the deli next door.
I like it when someone didn't silence their phone or is talking on the phone, and then the actor in the Broadway show breaks character. Yes. He's in some kind of clown suit or dressed as a bear. I will kill you, motherfucker. Just that
clown suit.
It's live. Yeah.
Now, Jenna, my last thing for you is I like that when you auditioned for The Office, Allison Jones, who's a casting director we probably all three have run into along the way.
The best.
Said, dare to bore me. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, I read that.
I like that because most people are trying to give you the biggest pizzazz of a lifetime in an audition.
Well, I had been auditioning for Allison for about 5 years before The Office. I got my first speaking role on a television show. It was Spin City, the Charlie Sheen years. And I had 3 lines as a waitress. And then she would bring me in for other little things.
Sure.
And finally, when it was time for her to cast The Office, I had a good enough relationship with her that I could say, hey, Allison, do you have any advice? I really want this one. And she said, yeah, my advice is don't come in looking hot. Like, don't come in all done up. And by the way, usually the note was, okay, you're playing a pediatric nurse, but like hot. Or like you're playing a school teacher, but like really hot. So like usually the note was look hot.
Mortician, but hot.
But super hot. Like she's really, really hot. And I'm like, okay. So she was like, don't come in like looking hot. Don't come in with a bunch of makeup.
Overdone, yeah.
We want real people. And then she said, we're going to have you improvise during the audition. And my advice is dare to bore me.
Oh, I
was like, okay, great. So I went in and I read the scene. And then Greg Daniels said, okay, we're going to improvise. I'm going to just ask you some questions as if I'm a documentary filmmaker. And I had that note in my head. And he said, do you like being a receptionist here? And I just paused and I said nothing. And then I said, no. And that's all I said.
Oh, that's funny.
Because I thought it would be funnier to watch me think of all the things I wasn't going to say than to say any of them. And then also, though, she's like a deeply honest person. So she can't lie and say she does like it, but she's also not going to say any more.
Wow.
And I think that's what got me the job. Greg told me that's what got me the job.
That is so cool. Dare to bore me. That was
Dare to bore me. Yeah. It was so scary. It's so scary.
Because you want to just go for the fences.
I know.
It's so hard to just have restraint. That's like, for me, the hardest thing about acting is just holding
and then on the
in
Office,
silence.
You really are working with people that are all doing it, and it's so fucking funny.
It's amazing. It's just amazing, amazing thing to have been a part of. It just... I still can't believe it. And just what it means to people, too. Like, that's so cool. I know that The Office has gotten people through hard times in their lives. And, once long ago, I fell down a set of stairs in New York at Budokan. It was during like an NBC event. I was there with Fred Armisen, actually. And I fell down this set of stairs and I broke my back in 4 places.
Oh, Jesus.
And while I was recovering, I watched the Larry Sanders Show. And it was like better than any pain medicine. So like the fact that I can be part of something that is that for other people, like I know what it means to have a thing that like gets you through something. It's really cool.
Wow, that's full circle, because I believe that Ricky Gervais felt like he was influenced by the Larry Sanders Show. And then he does the British Office, and then you go do the American Office, and then you break your back, and then you're watching Larry Sanders. I don't know where this keeps going, but there's something kind of cool about that. That was a show that was magic. We were both on it. Were you on it, David?
we were on Larry.
Sanders.
Also, we all worked with Greg Daniels, who is a shout out to him, who's a great writer. That obviously SNL.
I remember when Greg Daniels and Conan O'Brien walked into the offices at SNL, fresh out of Harvard, looked like they were sophomores in high school. Little haircuts, kind of nervous, looking around. Yeah, great. Yeah,
and they were roommates.
Yeah,
too.
I know, it's amazing, really. And
those SNL years you liked. It's like we were propped up by guys like that, and Bob Odenkirk and Smigel and Downey and Frank.
Yeah.
There's so many good writers there.
It's kind of nice when, and I'm sure you just do this, you're not trying to get kudos about it, but if someone says to you later, because not everyone is really friendly when you walk into an environment like that, and they'd say, "Oh, you were so nice to us." I go, "Really? I was? I think I was just like, how you guys doing?" or something. But some people are like, more competition. We don't need you. It's a little, it can be a little cold at SNL. No one's really telling you where you should stand or what you should even do. That's what we learned. A lot of people are like, they didn't even know. No one told them anything, about the show. And they just had to figure it out for themselves. But anyway.
Well, it's an interesting environment. I got to be on the show as part of Steve Carell's monologue once.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I remember
that. And I was, again, like I told you, I'm a Saturday Night Live groupie nerd. And so this was, I don't even remember what I had going on. I got like 24 hours notice. Do you want to come fly in? And I was like, yes. I came in on a red eye. I was like, anything. And to be in the bowels, to like get to be there for the rehearsal. Mm-hmm. And then how like, oh my God, it really does change from the rehearsal. That was nuts. And just, it was so scary. And my line changed, and then the cue card changed. And then how we all went into Lorne's office, and you're like sitting on the floor, like waiting to hear like what things made it and what didn't. And I couldn't believe I was invited. I was like, I just have like one sentence in the opening monologue, but I was like privy to all of the inner workings. It was so awesome.
It is.
And then that night at the after party, I held Lorne Michaels' focus for 30 solid minutes.
Whoa.
And I still to this day, it is one of my best like small talk moments ever. Because I'd met him many times. I had come and I saw when Christina Applegate hosted and when John Hamm hosted, I came as their guest, and I would sit and I would run into him and shake his hand and all this sort of stuff. And but for whatever reason, at this particular after party, I got in a whole chat with him about how I like to prep for the apocalypse. And he was very interested in this topic. And we spoke for like a solid 25 minutes.
Wow.
And I wanted to keep talking to him. I wanted to keep going, but I knew that I had to say goodbye.
Yeah.
And I did it. I left at the right time. Mm-hmm. And I'm so proud of myself.
That's
and now I never want to speak to him again. I will never speak to him again. I will not ruin it.
6 years there, I didn't get 30 total.
It was,
I'm
telling you, I'm never ever want to run into him again.
That was a good subject matter for him. Something that he would be like,
just doesn't talk about every day.
You first have to make sure that you procure a fair amount of water in the event of apocalypse.
I put Triscuits.
I mean, did he respond at all? Well, I mean, you really talked about your preparation for the apocalypse like for 30 minutes straight.
For a good amount of time. But then we also talked about the movie The Edge, which is my favorite movie. And, it's a survivalist movie. I love movies where people have to survive things.
I've seen it at least 5 times. And that's a movie. And we told Alec Baldwin that friends come over or relatives, let's watch a movie. And once in a while I go, have you seen The Edge? They go, no. I go, it's just kind of a surefire, great, entertaining film. No one cannot like
Dana,
it.
What one man can do, another can do. That's from the movie. What one man can do, another can do. I'm telling you, that's gotten me through like big life moments. I love this movie. And so we talked about The Edge, which ended up leading into survivalist stuff.
I see.
Into prepping. And he was really interested in my currency plans. Like, what were my plans for currency during the apocalypse? Did I have gold bars? And you know what? To be honest, I hadn't thought of it. I hadn't gotten as far as currency.
I was funny when I was there in the fall doing Biden, just behind his desk, I saw this whole duffel bag, you know, it's really big, you know. And then when he left to go use the bathroom, it was just all the survival stuff in there.
He goes by and he pushes a wall and it spins around and he disappears down a slide.
I want to be ready.
He was influenced by my prep.
That Tony Hopkins had that line, right? What one man can do, another man can do. Is that Tony Hopkins?
Yes, correct.
And Al Baldwin.
Was Al Baldwin?
Al Baldwin was great in that. So was Tony. I love when people change names. Jen was great on our podcast.
Jenna Fischer. Does anyone call you Jen?
No one's ever called me Jen.
Well, get ready for it because we have a lot of followers. By the way, people may not know, but we're on the same network. It's almost like television now. So that's kind of cool.
This is jury duty for Jen.
And I just for people who are watching this or might want to see it. So are you in a studio somewhere?
I'm at your New York studios. I'm here in New York this week, and so I came into the New York studio.
And are you and Angela usually in different places when you do the podcast, and sometimes together, or always? No,
together? We're usually together. Odyssey, our company that we both work for, has a studio in Hollywood, and we usually record there in person together.
And
you guys are all set up at home. Like you guys have cool setups, but
we sometimes go in person. We've been going in person.
I kind of feel like I need in person or something. It changes a lot. When I was doing SNL, I was just in a hotel room doing it. That's one of the advantages of this is that you can do it remotely.
If you have to, yeah.
But David has a little studio.
I just have this stupid mansion. Yeah. But Jenna, thank you for joining us. Tell Angela hello, and we appreciate your time.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, guys, I don't want it to end. I love you. I love you both. I love your podcast.
Thank you.
This is so cool. This was a highlight for me.
Well, everybody,
that's really
keep your
nice.
eyes open for her
enjoy
play.
talking to you. I just find
you're always sweet and fun, and just like you would think.
Podcasters, actresses, and all kinds of things you do. But if you do this, I think you do get a little more adept at doing it, conversing and letting it go where it needs to go and asking questions. So usually when we have a podcaster on, it's an easy show,
Right.
Right. Because you know what you're hoping to get when you're doing it yourself.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be electric every moment. You don't have to push it. It just is what it is, so.
If we seem rusty, it's because we've only done 2,000 of these. Okay. Ashland Avenue. Ashland Avenue is the play, and she's doing it in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And it will be tickets on sale June 27th. And it starts when in August, you said?
I think September 15th.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
September 15th. All right. Thank you very much. Bye, sweetheart. Very good to see you.
Thank you, guys.
Don't hang up.
This has been a presentation of Odyssey. Please follow, subscribe, leave a like, a review. All the stuff, smash that button, whatever it is, wherever you get your podcasts. Fly on the Wall is executive produced by Dana Carvey and David Spade, Jenna Weiss-Berman of Odyssey, and Heather Santoro. The show's lead producer is Greg Holtzman. Here we go. Tony Hinchcliffe is on today, and he does Kill Tony. A lot of people know him from that. Started the Comedy Store, moved to Austin, the mothership, and they have a great, hilarious, maybe it's called a variety show. What would you call it?
I think it's a new wave variety show, postmodern,
new form. Yeah,
and he breaks down. He's the brainchild of Kill Tony. He breaks down all the different ways it operates for him. He really cares about it. I mean, he's 13 years in, and it's highly thought about. It's not and made to look like people just showed up and they shoot the rehearsal. It's really a fun show.
Right.
Do you think our fans would know about it?
I think they would. I think a lot of them know about it already. I've done it once. I think you're going to do it in the future. It is fun. It's a total crazy shit show. It's a lot of laughs. They have a panel. They have a great audience that a slow build over the last 13 years, and now it's huge. They play Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
They are on Netflix. They're on YouTube. They do well everywhere. But there's a panel, and they usually have a guest comedian or someone, Shane Gillis, Kyle Donegan.
We talk about that, and we also talk about how he accidentally got inside the 2024 presidential election, and was for a while talked about as the person who might have tilted the election.
Derailed, yeah.
In a different way. And that's a really interesting story.
He did a Puerto Rico joke. That's how some people might only know him, just from hearing about that.
From the Madison Square Garden thing with Hulk Hogan and everything. He was in that, made a joke. It trended for weeks, and it was... got
a lot of attention. And then, you know, and he'll tell you all about that. We won't give it away. But so here we go. We got Tony Hinchcliffe, very funny guy. Look at that fucking chair.
Yes. I know. Yeah, is there an explanation? Well, I love it personally, but are you on a set? Or are you?
No, this is the middle of my home. Actually, I finally made money after a decade and a half plus of really, really struggling, and I decided, you know what? If I'm gonna buy stuff for my home, I'm gonna do it crazy in the way that I've always imagined in the wildest dreams.
Solid gold chair, first order business.
Yeah.
Wow. I like that idea.
Championship belt.
That is I know. Is that UFC, Dana White?
That's pro wrestling. That's WWE, the world heavyweight champion. Right now.
So we're catching you at a time because we ask people a lot sometimes because I'm curious about celebrity net worth and things like that. But the first time you make $1 million, or this is your first really grandiose grabbing something, this house, is this the first time?
Yeah. Yep. First time. And it was not easy to get. It's in the middle of Austin, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Nice city, nice house. Love it. It's kind of fun when you can actually go look at something nice like that you never even thought you could look at.
It's the wildest thing. There were all these real estate agents when I moved to town. I think they all thought that I already had a lot of money, but I didn't really. I got it here anyway. Well,
we'll break that up.
Yeah, I don't want to push everybody away.
No. We understand that. You know, there's. It comes with a price. I mean, you're famous and you're wealthy, and there's stuff that happens. It's not a complaint; it's just an observation. But I'm just curious, what would. Like when I was coming through, I don't know, I got it for a little bit, then I didn't, but whatever. I wanted like a movie theater, recording studio, swimming pool, half-court basketball.
Jesus.
I'm just clicking off things that I would be a really good swimming pool, like a great...
I didn't realize... I thought you were a comedian and comedic actor. I didn't realize you were a rapper, Dana Carvey.
Yeah, he has a rap album.
Oh, I can rap. Give me a word.
Plays down some beats.
Give me a word. Or anything.
Pepper.
Yeah, pepper. See a leper. What you gonna say? Are you on an upper? Take yourself downtown. Don't wipe off that frown. Come on, man. Boy. You're like a Biff. You're like Tony Hinchcliffe.
Yeah.
Oh Jesus, I gotta jump off.
I know it's terrible, but I had so much fun, and I liked your moves. But anyway,
Tony,
so
you could put him right up on Kill Tony with that.
I would love that.
Dana comes out.
I'm already planning. I'm planning because I want to come on as a character. I loved, obviously Shane, and you have Kyle on there with his intense prosthetics. He looks with Elon Musk.
Yeah.
So.
And he switched during that show. He went back into the prosthetic chair and turned into RFK Jr. halfway through the episode.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's Kyle
Dunnigan. Do you provide
a
guy? Do you provide a guy or a woman that does this?
There's a whole team for these ones now. Mm-hmm. It used to be just a rubber mask many years ago. Sure. Good luck. And now there's a whole truck and multiple people. That it's like a nightmare back there.
You're putting some money back into the production. I like that, right?
Yeah.
Make it nice. Actually, I went there, Dana. It is nice. They treat you right. You go back there, got some good black and white shots of me and Tony walking around. And I think those ones, like I see clips all over the place, but which is great. Those clips have to help. They're just floating all over. And they're always funny. And I think a great addition is when Shane comes in and does. Now, what does he do as Trump? Does he put anything on, or he used to not? Now he puts a little.
I think it's just a little bronzer and a powerful wig. I don't think
in
really,
a wig. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it takes much.
It's nothing crazy. Yeah. I'm just saying it's just the voice is so funny anyway, and he's got his mannerisms. So
and he's
that's
a
always
big
funny.
guy. It really works. What I like what you've done is like the show has gotten so big, but it still feels like in a way it's made for $1. You know, it's still, you know, that would be the first worst thing is some idiot somewhere would say, you got to get in a fancy studio, man. The club ain't working. And it's like, so that's,
that was part of the actual demands that I made was we got to keep it real. We got to keep it raw. And in fact, my note post this newest release today, I was talking to the production team and I said it was a little too flowy. It seemed like the people coming out were on the other side of the curtain. Like we need to get back to a little more
like
of the
gaps, pauses. Yeah, rough on the edges.
Yep.
Bad intros. I mean, awkward. Coming on the stage kind of feels like they're not ready to come on, kind of something.
Yeah, mess ups. You need that. Those mess ups. I only know it from my one experience. Just we're talking about Kill Tony. We're talking to Tony Hinchcliffe. So we're like on the radio.
I know.
Now we're back from a commercial. We're talking with Tony
on K-Fog 105.
And you know, I didn't know much about it. In full disclosure, when I went, I knew about it at the Comedy Store, and I'm never up past 9:15. So I didn't even do like roast battle, which isn't this, but you know, all these things pop up, and I think a lot of people are copying you now in a way of going, let's do some sort of different thing than just stand up.
Yeah,
I'm sure you're aware of that, and it was interesting because I didn't know how many people in Austin would come. I don't know if it was that way at the Comedy Store, but it's obviously bigger in Austin. And then they wait. Is it in a restaurant or something?
It's at a bar right next door. Big, dingy, hollowed out, you know, barely a bar. Barely a bar. Like it's really just a bartender. Barely anybody has the money for drinks. You know what I mean? Like it's a lot of tap water, a lot of water coolers and people waiting and a lot of broke, you know, struggling artists and people that are doing Uber Eats and Postmates and all these side gigs to make extra money. It's a real vibe. It basically took the place of the front patio of the Comedy Store, which is where people used to kind of be camped out.
Just camp out and hang out and look for, they made it to LA. Now what? They just go there and go, I got to be around what I've always thought about Comedy Store, this, and now with Mothership and Joe's place there, people want to be part of it somehow. And this is actually a good way to cut the line because, you know, if you're not a big headliner, if you don't know Joe, it's very hard, I'm sure, to get into the comedy Mothership and just do a week. So these people, I think, Dane, you can explain what is actually the breakdown of the Kill Tony show for the people who aren't familiar.
Well, the show is basically, you know, people want to perform on stage. They get 60 seconds. It's all random. There's a bucket in which over 200 names are on the inside of it.
There's so many people that want to do it.
Sometimes it's over 300. It's been up to 350 at times when, And in the arenas that we do and stuff, it's the same thing. And we try to fit as many of the signups as we can into a seated section in the arenas. But yeah, at the Mothership, there's a big dingy 6th Street, nasty, gritty bar next door. And if I pull the name out of the bucket, a producer runs behind
the headset.
Out the back door with the headset and yells, you know, Jeremiah Smith. And everybody goes, hey, Jeremiah. And Jeremiah walks out. And then they bring them right backstage. And then when the person before them's done, I call up Jeremiah Smith. And then they get 60 seconds uninterrupted, completely uninterrupted. You know, a lot of the ripoff shows, like you were mentioning, they just don't get that part. They just can't wait to possibly be funny. And they jump in at any point trying to get their own laughs in. And but the format is pretty critical to the show because then you know, wow, did they make the most of their 60 seconds or did they kind of bomb? And they know what they're signing up for. You know, the show can be pretty ruthless if they do really poorly and didn't prepare. And so it's kind of like it could be a roast or
it's a real make or break because they can really score in 2-3 jokes or one joke that you can win. And there's a panel. Let's say it's you. It's always you.
Yep.
And who else is it always? And then you have like extras, right?
There's my co-host Brian Redban, who mainly focuses on sound effects and making sure that everything's being recorded. Yeah, exactly. 60 seconds, the sound of a cat plays, and
there's not a buzzer; it just goes meow.
Yeah, just a little something to let them know, like last chance to wrap it up, because 10 seconds later, a giant, overwhelmingly loud bear roar happens, which completely cuts them off.
Oh.
And then I conduct an interview with them for an unlimited amount of time. If I find them completely interesting, actually, only a couple weeks ago, I think we had the record holder for all-time longest interview. I think it was 23 or 24 minutes total on his first interview. The guy just had the most unbelievable answers to what was that guy's name? Alex Tarshoon. Oh my God. His shoes were falling apart. He works at a pizza joint. He has 8 dogs. Turns out he was on the next week. We found out that he got kicked out of his apartment because the people found out because of his appearance on Kill Tony that he has 8 dogs. He makes cartoons. It was just hilarious. And, the interview parts, to me, that's the secret main part of the show. Everybody's like, a minute to make it or break it. But really, it's the 8 minutes in the interview part where people can play along and tag along, and you get an idea of how they can improvise or if they're naturally funny. Sometimes they're so much funnier in the interview part than they even were with the main part.
It saves them. And also, you're good because you're the guy that interviews them, and you have to extract the right questions to make them funny or just stumble into something. And when you do, my experience, I was there, you would come into something and then we would find out something and then everyone yells and then it's like, oh, we hit something. Now let's jump on that.
Exactly. And they can use that as material in their future and whatnot. And that's kind of what I'm digging for. I'm using my gut instincts to try to feel where there's something missing. Is it in their childhood? Is it in their dating life? Is it something they do for work? I used to, I was just telling somebody this the other day, and it kind of hit me where this thing comes from, because I was telling them, actually it was Carrot Top we just had on. And I was talking to him about how I used to fall asleep as a kid watching Letterman. I would put a towel under my door so that my angry, furious single mother wouldn't yell at me. And I would watch Letterman as a little kid. I would fall asleep to Letterman and I would stay up extra late, and I would wake up extra early to listen to old school Howard Stern on terrestrial radio. So this interview thing it's only, and here I am 40 years old, 12 years into the show, and it's starting to hit me now. That's where it's kind of molded out of. My interview style comes from the preparedness and calm coolness and comedian style of Letterman, but mixed with the chaotic craziness and naughtiness kind of old school Howard Stern. Because it's just what raised me. I didn't really have a dad in my life growing up as a kid, and these are the things that I looked up to: was Letterman late at night, Stern first thing in the morning, and pro wrestling throughout the evening and days if I got to do it. And if you look at those 3 exact things and kind of mix them together with my main job as a stand-up comedian, the show kind of it is exactly kind of that,
Wow. Well, for people who are just some of our listeners, it's a phenomenon. Yeah. And it's fascinating to me that usually every movie I've ever done, not many, but the behind the scenes was better than the movie. And you guys keep it it's like the green room. I mean, there is it's fascinating to me how you've casually put this together, but it seems to really come through you completely. The sensibility and all the decisions. I mean, I know you have partners and other people, but it seems to be you. And I love it because in old school show business, the only thing we had was the Gong Show that was like this. I don't know if you ever saw that, but it's not like your show, but it would be like an ancestor of it. And Letterman deconstructed late night in his own way, for sure. And then, of course, the sarcasm and Howard Stern's brilliance of that. And then being really curious, I think, when you're in that mindset and the person's there, and this is now a vulnerable thing, maybe 13 years ago, but it's a big thing to be on Kill Tony and talking to you. And so I just was talking to David earlier, we walkie-talkie, and I said, you just have a real likability to you, even though the show you'd say, oh, it's mean or this and that. But there is a sweetness to the show. If you were not a nice guy, it wouldn't work.
Right.
They can sense that. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Those are some of the best parts for me, is making the magical, or not making, because you can't even make them. It's almost like deep sea fishing, and you're just hoping sometimes that a perfect episode, like Monday's episode that we just taped, right? Let me just take you through this one because it's kind of a perfect example.
Right.
A few months ago, here I am getting stoned at my place in the afternoon, thinking, where are we going? What's the next, right? What's something that'll throw off the fans that have watched 730 episodes of this? They watch it every week. They see me and my homies doing it quite often. What's something that I could throw into the mix? And somehow, some way, one of the many messages that I've gotten recently from somebody's assistant or friend of an assistant or whatever is that, hey, Carrot Top might be interested in doing the show, who I've met a couple times before. So I'm like, hell yeah, that's perfect. This sounds crazy. Let's try it. Mm-hmm. So we exchange numbers and we talk on the phone. He's on his boat off the coast of Florida at the time. And, naturally, just like anybody or anything, we all want everybody to like us, right? Isn't that really the secret? We all want to have a mutual respect for one another. So here he is. He's got nothing to gain, right? He's on a fucking yacht off the coast of Florida.
Yeah, he rakes in cash.
Falling out of control.
Yeah.
Life is good. He doesn't need anything. But, people want to be part of the fun chaos of a modern show. So there I am talking to him, and he's going, you really want to have blah, 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 blah? And I go, yeah. And, what if you brought like a trunk of props and kind of did some of your famous prop stuff throughout the show? And he's like, really? You sure? Like, I don't know. Like, I could just be a normal comedian and sit there. I go, yeah, you could, but we always do that. And our video and our cameras and everything is so good now. And we're at such a high level that we can really capture this. I think it could be great. And we set it up, and he is kind of, I can feel the weariness at the time, right? Naturally, like, really, props? Is he setting me up? This and that kind of. I mean, he doesn't say that. I just kind of feel it.
Yeah.
You feel it like 4%. And as it gets closer, there I am last week looking at my schedule going, wow, I booked Carrot Top solo, right? Like, anything can happen here. One thing that I've learned from doing this show so long is that egos can be the trickiest part, right? If I give a comic that I started with, 18 years ago, the seat next to me, they're happy to be there. They're looking to sell tickets. They're going to be funny, this and that. But I have to make sure that the guest really feels special and wants to be there and this and that. So last week, I'm like, holy shit, am I crazy? Because this could just be a nuclear meltdown. I've never worked with Carrot Top before. What if he goes out there and doesn't like something about what I said?
Which it's funny either way, almost.
Right, exactly. Almost, until someone goes, I don't want that episode out. I'm leaving. Or they storm off. We once had Ric Flair storm off of an episode because he got way too drunk during the day at a hotel lobby. And he got mad because we were making fun of someone who donates their time to coaching kids baseball. And basically, I called the guy a pedophile in the moment. It was a joke that worked perfectly fine. No one in their right state of mind would have been offended. And he goes, I don't like it when people make fun of people that donate their time. I'm out of here. And I thought he was kidding, but he left. Ended up being one of the big highlights of the show's history because people love
real. It's real.
Yes, it's exactly. Crazy. People love the fact that drunk Ric Flair walked off. But anyway, cut to Monday, and it ends up being an unbelievable episode. And I mean, Carrot Top, right after the first comedian says they work at a restaurant, he busts out a fork that has chopsticks attached to the backside. And for white people that might not know how to use chopsticks, you'll love this. It's a fork on this way, and the chopsticks are just clacking together. Comically hilarious. And that was just the first thing that he pulled out of this trunk.
It's smart. He's waiting for a spot, and then he puts it in, which is smart.
Oh, so genius.
Oh, that's killer.
And that's the thing, is being able to make it, refillable and fun. And I make it entertaining for myself, hoping that the fans of the show are with me, kind of, you know what I mean? Just on the adventure to see something kind of different. Because you guys know all these shows, you have, pre-interviewed guests, and everything's kind of a lot more set up than a lot of people think it is. So this whole thing being improvised, it's a huge risk, huge reward, huge risk.
Sure.
Millions of people are going to catch it. And you don't know what's going to happen. And in closing with this Carrot Top thing, just using it as an example, if they gave Emmys away to podcasts, I think this would be an episode that would win an Emmy. Carrot Top on Kill Tony out of nowhere, almost like what and I'm not dissing Carrot Top here, but it feels like I'm introducing a whole new era.
Sure, you've got a whole big crowd.
15 to 35-year-olds to the mystique of Carrot Top.
Yeah, you know? What's old is new again. When you were telling this story, in my brain, I'm going, oh, that's going to destroy. Because it's, I don't know the word silly, it's abstract. It's a guy who made these props and comes out one at a time. For a new audience of young people, this is revolutionary. It's not a guy with the elbow on the thing going, I jacked off in front of my cat today. It's just, no, I'm going to be balls out funny and abstract thing. And by the way, I've heard Jerry Seinfeld and Chris Rock sing Carrot Top praises.
Sure.
Because who else is doing his act?
And he's a nice guy, too. I mean, I went and saw him in Vegas just to, I think it was the Luxor. We were there a night early. I also go see Carrot Top. No hate or anything. Just like, let's go see. I haven't seen him. And I just hear, and people like to use him as like a punchline. But you go, something's working. And we fucking laughed our asses off. He's pulling out a toilet. It's so ridiculous. You go, I'm glad someone's doing this. Yeah, because I can't think of this shit.
I think that was brilliant. I mean, what a great thing to have him and understand. And of course, they wanted to see all the props in his joke.
Oh, they don't know they want to see him. They don't know what he does. And they're like, oh, shit. Because they're also waiting for you, who's the boss, to say, oh, like this guy. And if they go, okay, they give him a chance. And then hopefully he comes through, which jumping in when it kind of fit in the story is really great.
That's inspired.
Yeah.
And
then it's like, oh, food?
What can I see? Is this out now?
It's coming out in 2 weeks.
2 weeks. Okay.
Yeah.
I got to see that one. That sounds hysterical.
And it had everything. It had people bombing, which is what people love. Yeah. It had people doing good, which people love. It had great interviews, which people love. And we had a guy win a golden ticket. This amazing, cool, obese black man came out with children's books for adults that he had written, and he brought them out. And it's just the funny. It was so unbelievably funny that I realized this guy's probably going to make tens and tens of thousands of dollars just from me letting him give the shout out, because the front page, the first page, was so funny. I think the name of the children's book for adults was "Man, Fuck Them Kids." And the first page, he goes, just read the very first page, and it said, like, sorry to all the pedophiles that bought this book thinking it was something else. It's a man, fuck these kids. But he ended up winning a golden ticket, which is a super rare thing.
What does that do?
Which means that you can come back on the show anytime, as long as there's not another golden ticket winner already scheduled. So you basically just get to come back without having to worry about signing up and waiting at the bar next door in the bucket. You get to kind of like know.
That's a tough wait, because I think when I did it, how many do you get through on an average night? 20?
No, it feels like that. Probably about with the regulars all together, probably about 12 or 13.
Okay.
About nine bucket pulls, 3 regulars.
Right, because it's not just 1 minute. It's a bunch of bullshit, and then maybe we'll talk for a second, and then I'll, it's organized chaos. Because before I went out, I think it was me and David Tell, and you said, let him get through it, like you told me, like you said just now, and then I'll probably start, and then you guys jump in. And it's a mixture of that. Like, I'm sure we got greedy. We want to jump in while you're doing an interview, but it all worked out.
Oh, it's always great. It's always organically different, and the people love it being different. If someone goes on a run and they take over for a bit, that's great. If they're quiet for 15 minutes straight, that's totally fine. It's just the moment and the difference and the vibe and the energy, and it's kind of what makes it its own thing. The fact that it's unproduced and doesn't have network notes is the reason why it survives.
Oh, and God,
thank God Netflix got that. I couldn't believe.
I was Ted is smart about that. It's unpolished, and you just luckily if they just go in somewhere like that den and say, okay, whatever this is works. Pull this, put it somewhere else, but let's just get it exactly the same and don't spruce it up and make it Hollywood. It's the thing everyone hates. You know what I mean? They go, oh, they ruined it. They ruined it.
And in fact,
I'm sure
we,
that
like I
scared
said,
you.
we accidentally organically did that for the Netflix, for the first Netflix taping. And it falls on me. You know, it's my note to myself is like, oops, we did what they would have wanted to do accidentally. Little more chaos, little more improvising on my part instead of going to what I have next on my little notes.
Yeah.
And don't let the Netflix of it all get to my head, you know?
Oh, wow. It's really hard to do, especially it's Netflix, you know. It's just very interesting to me that this new digital media, and it's been around for a while, but this show, it had to happen. If you weren't, I mean, it's so entertaining and so real. And the numbers, I don't know. I mean, Bert Kreischer was the first one we had on the podcast, and he kind of said it. Not, you know, Bert's such a sweet guy, but he's like, "Oh, I get way more numbers, more people than the Today Show or any of these television shows."
Mm-hmm.
What are your numbers?
Meaning YouTube, right?
YouTube numbers, playing arenas, just all this energy around this. I don't know who is in this new. I don't call it a Rat Pack. There is sort of like there's Shane and you and Bert and Tom and the last 7-8 years creating their own ecosystem, their own universe. It's very cool to watch from someone who came from the 60s, the 70s.
It's a whole interesting world we're living in, because something that isn't applied to even just the simple numbers is the amount of shares, the amount of the length watched, for example. Like even back in the day, if the Tonight Show had let's just say 4 million people watching it, well, what are those real 4 million? Is 200,000 of them hospitals and nursing homes, and is a million of them, you know, grandmothers falling asleep, or, you know, who's exactly watching? Whereas with like a Kill Tony, for example, 100% of the viewers are comedy fans, or at least 98. The 2% that might be watching it for the first time because they went down a weird rabbit hole might be there, but they're going to get hooked too. You know, I'm joking about moms and grandmothers, but they 100% love the show. Everybody always says to me, I had my mom glance at it and I can't believe that she loves it, but they love the fact that they can't believe that they're watching someone get a magical opportunity to have a chance, that they literally were just on the street not knowing if they had a chance, and now they're trying to make it. So there's really something for everybody. But my point is also, you know, a huge factor is, so if there's 4 million people watching the Tonight Show, how many people actually make it to the stand-up comedy part, which is what, after 2 interviews or whatever, and a whole monologue and this and that, and also, the length. You know, it's 2 hours and 15 minutes long, whereas grand total, what is the Tonight Show if you take out the commercials? 45 minutes, 55 minutes, or something? I have no idea.
42, probably. If it's still an hour.
It's an hour,
So when you think of the overall engagement and the locked inness of these shows, you know, they're there, it's a destination, they get used to it, it becomes a weekly habit. And so it's a whole different
I just
level.
want to ask one quick question. So the guy who got the golden ticket, did he tear up, or was is it kind of emotional in that moment? So that's another frequency you're hitting on the show, that you can also change. There's a reality component to this at times.
Like America's Got Talent, like the same people like that, you know, because seeing people that night, I'm a little not as rough as like Attell. Attell is a sharpshooter, so he's probably the worst person I could sit with, because he's a crowd work guy. He can say anything about anything. And I also don't want to go for the jugular on these guys, because I'm part of the people that go, fuck, I can't be a dream killer. But then, of course, I get caught up in it and want to get laughs. But some people that do great, it's a big deal. Some people get crushed, and that's just the rough world they're entering.
And they can
can't
sign
all
up
win
again, and totally
they go again and flip it around. Yeah,
they know what they're signing up for, and they can sign up again. One of my favorite features of the show is when I notice, and this happened on Monday as well, is a comedian came up and crushed, and I go, "You look familiar. You've been on this show before, right?" And he goes, "Yeah, 2 years ago." I go, "It didn't go that good 2 years ago, did it?" He goes, "Hell no, it didn't." And so, like, you're watching the actual growth in real time.
He thought of that for 2 years. Yeah.
And not only to answer your question about the golden ticket did he tear up? Not only did we see him wipe a tear, but again, I'm talking about, this guy is literally like 6'4", 350-pound aggressive black man. So you're watching him go like that, and it hits so much harder than someone that looks like a low testosterone white guy like the three of us.
Yeah, me. Also, we put, like, even in that movie Bus Boys that Theo and I did, we brought in 3 guys from your show. So that's to play these guys that work with us, Dana. But I don't know if you know them, but they know them from the show, and they came in and they were cool. I think one was on when I was there, but they all do well and they all have a following, and it's just fun to pepper in stuff like that because the people that know will know, and it's just another layer in there of tapping into what's going on, and that show's going on.
Yeah, and those regulars that you had on, this is a very special thing that gets into the territory where nothing like it's ever been done before. Because there's an America's Got Talent element. Yeah, there's a little bit of a Letterman-y, Stern-y interview element. Mm-hmm. But one thing that this show has that's never been done is exactly that. The 3, 4, 5 regulars that are doing a new minute almost every single week. People are watching them come up with everything, and it's a high pressure situation. Honestly, I would be scared to death if I was them. Here I am controlling the spaceship calmly. Meanwhile, I look at them like, sheesh. Again, granted, I might be writing ballpark about give or take a minute every week naturally on stage from performing multiple nights a week, but these guys are doing it publicly in front of millions and millions of people. And when those people go and buy their ticket, they're going to see the more refined version all together, their hour of the stuff that they watched them debut.
Yeah.
Kind of like watching someone write a hit on an acoustic guitar and sing it to you a cappella, and then you get to see how it comes out in the studio, kind of when they really work on it. So people are literally watching these guys grow and make a career in front of their very eyes. Like Cam Patterson is like a Eddie Murphy, Dave Chappelle type, Chris Rock, young, only a few years in, 25, 26 years old. And they're getting to watch this freak of nature become a superstar in real time. He just booked a huge movie with Kevin Hart and is going to be out for multiple weeks. And, it's like a main character, main big role. And people have gotten to watch his process, not just see a star, right?
You're right.
So it's a little bit, not exactly like, but you might be a little bit like a new Lorne Michaels. I mean, in the sense that, I'm sure we could fit a stadium full of people who have such gratitude for the experience and the feedback, and then coming back doing better. And how many of you launched? Just like,
when you see Eddie Murphy, Dana, like the first time we see him, for me, it's delirious or it's raw. It's a full polished hour. So that you're like, holy shit, this guy's good. But if you can see he's good in 1 minute and then he comes back and he's good again, and then you're like, oh, is this a fluke? It's like writing a hit song over and over. It's hard to do even a minute, it's probably harder.
Yeah. And let me remind you, some few with like a Cam Patterson, for example, very few, maybe 1 out of every 20 or 30 minutes is kind of rough. And immediately, as soon as the cat meows and that's my time, he goes, fuck, I hated that minute. That fucking sucked. I go, no, it's not bad. He goes, no, that fucking sucked, man.
Yeah.
So they get to see it. That makes it real, right? It's like, oh,
yeah. Right after they bomb, they're able to, with you guiding them, going, oh, I just fucking sucked. When you're playing open mics back in the day, they didn't get that opportunity.
Exactly.
humiliated.
And the millions of people watching get to go, holy shit. Every week he works so hard. It's not easy to kill. He makes it look easy.
Yeah.
And then you have one rough week and it's like, oh, it's real. This could all go off the wire. Like, yeah, it's kind of like Lorne Michaels, but at the same time, even SNL has its own writers and producers and everything, a bunch of people clanking their heads together. Right.
To help make a star. Yeah.
Exactly. These guys are out there sinking or swimming on their own. So it's really exciting. I get kind of nervous every time I bring up a regular because I do want them to do good. Yeah. You know, I want them to shine up.
Cam's a nice kid. Danny's he's a good looking kid. I saw him at the Improv the other night. Surprised to see him at the Improv in LA, but I guess he comes out here. And but all those guys do well. The one guy, the tall guy, was on Cameo. They make money too.
Yeah, they're doing good. William Montgomery is one of the highest paid people on Cameo. Casey Rocket's all over on tour, nonstop work ethic, running around, super physical. Ari Matti from Estonia is just destroying. One of truly the best stand-up comedians, and he's still kicking out a new minute every single week. In fact, he does this thing where he flexes on everybody because we let the regulars go as long as they want. They're not just limited to a minute. So he does a thing where he, like on Monday, dropped 2 minutes and 30 seconds just for the sake of the how long he wrote that bit. So it's really crazy what's going on. It's exciting because I get to be a fan of.
Sure, you just get to watch. You're right there.
Yeah. I just have to insert this at this point. I've just learned a hell of a lot about your show. Yeah. And I admire it on all, and how many frequencies, I started to use that again, or metrics it operates on, and feeding into why it is such a success. You go, oh, they go up and these comedians bomb and they shit on them. I don't know. It's just completely comprehensive. I just want to say that I was in Vegas. I was at the Wynn Hotel. I was playing a private date. And across the way, out the window, I was way on a high floor. Every 10 minutes early in the evening, I would see you 100 feet tall.
The whole side of the
Resorts
building.
International. I don't know how big a room, but you were just playing there, right? So just for a second, how's your stand-up career going? It's a whole other side thing. You're playing at big rooms. I mean,
I've never had more fun. All the stuff that I've worked on, and I joke about it now in the hour, is like, I always, when everything was I've always liked to, how do I say this in a non-corny way? I like
corny.
I like the idea of pushing the crowd away and then having to win them back over and touch on really, really, racial issues and, sometimes what would be considered stuff that could get someone in trouble. And I focused on that throughout the entire pandemic. When I found out I could move to Texas and be back to performing indoors rather than, outside in Los Angeles with cars 6 feet apart from one another. And
that Supernova gig, that one. Magic Castle.
Yeah. Terrible. And I focused on all this, even though it looked like Netflix and a lot of things were going cleaner and more, if you want to be successful, you gotta be, mainstream or whatever. And I really doubled down and focused on, what I wanted to talk about, and even the stuff that happened with the Trump rally a few months ago. Like, it's all applied now, and it gives me kind of permission, it feels, with my stand-up to really, really, really finally, after 18 years, talk about the type of stuff that I want to talk about.
And they kind of know what they're getting. Even that Trump thing, which, did you ever think if he lost somehow that people would be coming after you for that?
Oh, yeah. I know for a fact. I actually found out from the administration a few days before the election. I was in communication with them the entire time. And on the Sunday morning before the election, I woke up to a text message that said, "Call me when you can." And I looked at the time. It was sent at 6:15 a.m. from the guy that booked me for the Trump roast, a high-level advisor in the camp, like that's at all the meetings and everything. And I just knew it wasn't good. And I called him and he goes, "Hey man, just to let you know, because the press writes their stuff up before it happens, before the election. They write it up. This is what we're going to put out if Trump wins with the actual statistics. This is what we're going to put out if Kamala wins with the actual statistics. And he goes, just to let you know, the press already has it written up. If Trump loses, they are totally 100% going to blame you and I. Now, I work in politics, so my career is going to be totally over. I don't know how it's going to work for you as a comedian. And I'm literally like, fuck, because now what? Now I've lost basically everyone, the Republicans and the Democrats. I'm stuck with literally the 6,000 people in the country that truly don't give a fuck about anything at all.
You got that crowd still.
I remember this well. I'm glad you brought it up because I wanted to talk to you about it. And you kind of, I understand it now, but it was like for about 2-3 weeks, your name was really everywhere. New York Times, they're tying this to me, a very benign, just silly joke, please, people, about Puerto Rico and floating garbage, whatever. And they ran with it politically. But I just thought there was a period of time where you were sort of going to potentially, from that joke, reorientate how America tilts in the presidential election. I don't think any comedian that I could think of in the history of comedy has been in that position. And now getting the confirmation that that's how they were going to write it, that whole rally was a trip. I mean, but you were, I just thought it was fascinating what happened with that.
Yeah, the plan was to just go out there and kind of have fun and be part of this wild gang of kind of, you know, I don't know. I'm sure a lot of people aren't going to like any part of what I'm saying. But don't worry. What could possibly?
What do you mean? The Hulk Hogan of it and the Bobby Kennedy? I mean, just sort of if you're on the left, it would be the rogues gallery of misfits and anti-status quo rebels. You know, basically. Yeah.
And it wasn't exactly how I expected it to go. They had me cold open right after the national anthem, which if you know anything about my comedy style, literally, I don't cold open anyone's show. And mine, nobody's. That would be crazy to do, especially at a political rally, especially with the lights all the way up, which isn't exactly for some reason how I pictured it. And I mean, audience completely lit all the way to the rafters, Madison Square.
You're like in a grocery store, basically. You're like, you need to dim it down. I don't want to see after the front row, but you go, so this is... The lights are staying like this. Okay, I go on now. All right.
Yep. And the audience was not mic'd for comedy levels. It was for pure rally levels, which turns out is hot death if you're listening to a clip of comedy. Because in the room, I'm telling you, there's tens of thousands of witnesses that were there. It was a success. I swear. It was wild. There was nothing but high fives and stuff right afterwards. And then it didn't take long. It was so live.
Before you go, wait a second.
Some narrative got developed that you bombed or something. Was that what happened?
I was backstage looking at the monitors. There's like a whole crew of, you know, it's like Hogan walks by, Dr. Phil's fucking fist pumping Rudy Giuliani. It's Donald Trump Jr. next to me. And I said to him, I go to Don Jr., I said, man, I think this is like becoming a news story. They're focusing in on this one joke I made about Puerto Rico. And he goes, does it seem like they're outraged? And I go, yeah. He goes, welcome to the team. And I realized right then, I'm like, oh yeah, they've been bashing Elon Musk, calling him a Nazi and all of this crazy stuff for a guy that gives free Wi-Fi to the poor parts of the world, builds electric cars for 100% of everybody, and this and that and everything.
SpaceX.
Rogan, one of the nicest people that I've never seen anyone help more people in the world than Joe Rogan. And meanwhile, he's a Nazi. That's a Nazi. That's a racist, a right wing, far right wing. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm that now. This is crazy. I'm a pot smoking, pro-choice, anti-war centrist. There's no way. But
they really throw Nazi around. It loses a little of its luster when you just use it every single day. You start to go, wait, what is it again? It used to be a real stab, and now you go, I guess people just use it. Kids use it now.
Now, according to a lot of people, 53% of the popular vote of the country is Nazis, I guess. So what a world we're living in, where 53% of the people can be labeled Nazis.
go on the record. I don't think you're a Nazi at all. Like, I don't have any.
Me and Dana aren't.
I don't get any Nazi vibe from you.
Yeah.
There's other vibes I get. No, I'm just kidding. But it is a fascinating world. I don't think I always say this. We got the wheel, we got fire, we got the printing press, we got this, we got nukes, we got nothing prepared us for social media. And if the world does end and they're digging through the rubble, they'll find a little box, and all they'll hear is a voice go, Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
It is
not literally him. It's all social media, but
the news comes from social media now.
Yeah.
Like, it happens there first. The news was reporting outrage about a joke because of the tweet that came out that said racist speaker at racist rally had this to say about Puerto Rico. Not comedian, speaker, not joke, comment.
Right.
You know, the way they label these things. And if you don't know me, it sounds
right. And that's the first a lot of people saw of you.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
But
That's
the people that didn't, with that said, and this is kind of where I think this backfired for the mainstream media and whatnot, where it backfired is I don't think they counted on, because I'm not, at the time especially, wasn't considered a mainstream guy. You know, I don't think they factored in the power of Kill Tony, the millions and millions of people, and the millions and millions of people that watched the most watched program of the year last year, which was the roast of Tom Brady. So when they called me a speaker and said that I had racist comments, I think a lot of people, and I know for a fact a lot of people go, wait a second. I think a lot of people realize the news can be extremely tilted by this exact instance, because a lot of people are I saw him be more racist on the roast of Tom Brady. He called a black lesbian a da-da-da-da and a this and a that and a whatever. You know, it's kind of what I go for. And they're like, that's what he does. So, you know,
it's out of place comedy.
It's the same
in that
thing.
situation.
The news cycle has changed, and the networks and the traditional outlets had monopolies, and then they could cancel someone and shit on them, and there was no place really to go. And now immediately you can go on Joe Rogan or wherever and set the record straight. You know? Yeah.
I taped another episode of Kill Tony less than 24 hours after that rally, and I was the news at that point. I mean, it was me all day. My guests canceled on me that day. I had some big guests that came in from Los Angeles for it. But again, you know, the real comedians here, the real stand-ups, can't wait to be on that episode, and it ended up paying off big time for them because it was an extra wacky episode. Because
extra tune in, and also the people hear the joke, go, well, he's doing a joke, even though it's race related. There's a lot of jokes out there that are just poking fun of stuff. Doesn't mean you're a hater.
There's Puerto Rico, there's pollution in the ocean. It was just a connection of a joke. It wasn't like sitting around, I got to make a joke about Puerto Rico.
I hate that. Yeah. Wasn't that.
And the thing that happens when someone when they focus in on a single clip is that you're missing out on the fact that, I totally 100% made a point to make fun of everybody. Latinos, whites, blacks, Israel, Palestine, my own mother. Strategically, that was part of the tone of the thing. It was supposed to be about free speech and how we can make fun of everything. And that's another thing that kind of happened is a lot of people saw, wow, this campaign might be the one with kind of a sense of humor. Even though
did you have a dogs are different than cats bit in your back pocket?
I have one I can lend you.
Just in case.
No, but I did have one about eating dogs and cats, and I'm not even kidding you. That was actually in it too.
They're eating the dogs, they're eating the cats.
Of course you have a bit. I love the freedom. I'm not in the world. My brand is something very different in what I do. But I laugh my ass off at your stuff. And when I'm behind the scenes with comedians, we're all doing stuff like that. It's the only way to make comedians laugh behind the scenes is something shocking, something so foul or incorrect that you just laugh. And of course, in the room, everyone knows there's nothing behind it. It's just because you're not supposed to say it. And so
even in a good comedy crowd, if you're in a good comedy club and that's like a secret place to do all this stuff, you can even get oohs and ahs, and but they still think it's funny. But outside of that safety net, it seems weird that people can take it wrong or pretend to take it wrong and really go after you.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And
we
again,
all get it. We get
if
it.
it's a politician or a lawyer or someone like that doing that, yeah, that's outside the parameters of their thing. Like them doing that would be kind of crazy.
Sure.
Well, for me, I could only do for a while Western European white males, you know, as far as voices, like Swedes or French or whatever. And I couldn't do South America or Asia or India, but I'm working my way east, doing some Mediterranean accents and working my way slowly back toward India. And I will eventually, on this podcast, I do a Japanese man suffering an earthquake, and that's been okay.
Do you want to show it to him real quick?
Yeah, what does that sound like? I gotta hear it.
Actually, this is fly on the wall. Yeah, do it.
Japanese man on the phone with his friend, and an earthquake happens. Be like, I don't have a phone, but what is it? Oh, it's good. Oh, so good. Oh, so this go. Oh, it's
a bigger one, I
think. So anyway, that I know it has nothing to do with Japanese people, but I just know that sound and rhythm makes my brain happy. So.
Oh, that brings me so much joy.
Yeah,
I love it.
Making a comedian laugh.
Yeah, I know. He's the guy to do that one too. That's for sure.
It's fun.
That could be your minute, Dana. That would have been part of your minute. You'd have like another 20 seconds.
Yeah.
You have to bring your laptop up on stage.
When I can think of something to do on that show, I would love to come on. You could, I would confer with you, but you know, there's certain impressions you feel like doing with prosthetic makeup.
Yeah.
And there's just SNL and kind of you guys now, and it's fun. Yeah. I mean, I thought Adam Ray's Biden was really, really a funny take on it.
Mm-hmm.
His whole scared attitude and everything.
Yeah. He's fantastic. We put that together in 6 days. Mm-hmm. I texted him on a Tuesday morning. I said, "Hey, do you have a Biden?" Because he's always done Dr. Phil, and it's always been a wild success on the show. Guest of the year 2023, and it's like just one of the biggest pops you could ever hear is Dr. Phil coming out on a Kill Tony show. I mean, people lose their minds.
Just that he starts swearing and stuff.
Yeah,
it's such a funny, obtuse take to bring out Dr. Phil in 2025 and have it kill. It's kind of like, really, Adam? And then you see it's killing. Go ahead.
Yeah. And so I hit him up on a Tuesday afternoon saying, "Hey, do you have a Joe Biden impression?" And he goes, I just do 5 seconds of it in my stand-up act. I've never been in character as Biden before. Mm-hmm. And I go, "What are you doing Monday?" He goes, "Oh, let's go. Let's do it." Because like at the time they were having debates and stuff, Biden and Trump. And so I knew he was going to be Biden. So I hit up Shane, who's a big, obviously huge Kill Tony fan and fan of Adam Ray's Dr. Phil and his in-character work.
Yeah.
And I go, "Hey, Shane, I got Adam Ray doing Joe Biden on Monday." And he goes, "Shit, I'm supposed to go to fucking Philadelphia to write the next season of Tires. But I'll extend I'll stay here an extra day. I have to do Trump with Biden." And so it's so fun how these things come together. It's literally like they want to be there. They want to do it. They want to collaborate with each other. It's not like a job at all. It's like a jam session.
It's fun. Shane's such a home run hitter too, and go out there and perfect to have them both.
I'll tell you the purity of it, because they're seated side by side and they're facing out to the audience. You didn't build a set. There's not movement walking. It's just they're in character, just going forward. And again, it feels loose, you know.
And they kind of wait to have something funny to say. They wait. And then if they have something, they jump in. Or what do you think of that, Trump? I mean, that's hard to do. It's hard to be funny, be in an impression, and ad-lib off what's going on right that second. It's just
they were having so much fun, and it was
Shane is second to none. He sees things on multiple levels like nobody else. There's a guy during that episode. I go, "What do you do?" He goes, "I work at Trader Joe's." He goes, "That's what we call this guy, Trader Joe. And it's like
everyone's putting that together, going, "Oh shit, good one!"
In a second. I mean,
he's great.
He's like that all the time. By the way, we all live here in Austin, Texas now, and I mean, oh my God, off stage, on stage, at a bar, next door, here, at his place, in the swimming pool, everywhere. He can just lay you out all the time. Incredible.
Yeah, I'm jealous. That sounds fun.
He's a freak. Yeah.
Just swimming sounds fun.
Yeah.
Anyway, anything else for this young man, Dana? I think we did a good job.
I thought it was very interesting interview. I think for a lot of people who maybe only know you from the Madison Square Garden thing will be like, hey, just all I can say is, really, congratulations. I know it sounds corny, but it's not easy to make it in show business. It's not easy to take control and create something like this and buy a house that I did get it online. I mean, it's 1,100 square feet, which is shocking to me.
That's all.
And does not have a pool yet. He's waiting. But anyway, just congratulations. It's an incredible achievement, and you're just in the pocket, and no one's fucking with you, and no one's telling you what to do. So,
well, thank you. Obviously, as a 40-year-old, I have been looking up to you guys and been a super huge fan my entire life. I don't know how, when mentioning Letterman and Stern and the pro wrestling influence, how I could possibly leave out. I guess I felt it goes without saying how powerful SNL and your guys' movies were to me. And so let it be known that, I wanted to do this to hopefully be able to get you guys eventually on an airplane to Austin, Texas to do the show together. It would be monumental.
That would be fun if we did together.
We're gonna do it. We would love it.
I can't wait. So I'll be bothering you guys for that.
And Tony, my waitress this morning had just seen you, brought you up organically, did not know anything about this. And I think maybe the Honda Center, maybe she just saw you somewhere. I don't know where, but she had high praise. So good job on just doing stand up on top of doing everything else. Yeah. And we'll see you soon, bud. Thank you for coming on.
Guys, a real honor and a pleasure. Have a great day.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Take care, guys. Nice to meet you, Dana. This has been a presentation of Odyssey. Please follow, subscribe, leave a like, a review, all this stuff. Smash that button, whatever it is, wherever you get your podcasts. Fly on the Wall is executive produced by Dana Carvey and David Spade, Jenna Weiss-Berman of Odyssey, and Heather Santoro. The show's lead producer is Greg Holtzman.
You look great. You look wonderful.
Thank you. They pulled me from hair and makeup. They pulled.
I love authentic Spade is my favorite Spade.
Yeah, look at me.
Yeah, it's awesome.
It's a little dark. Yeah, sure.
Sharp, good. No, there's texture. There's contrast.
Taran looks the best. Dana looks second best because it's bright. And do you have the blur background, Taran?
No, it's a good camera, but I do have the touch-up filter on.
Yeah,
no pores.
26. So I don't know.
Yeah.
we're if we could videotape this, I mean, your new nickname is High School Senior.
Yeah.
Shave the beard and go out. Just go out.
Yeah, the beard is fake so I can get booze.
He was a family man that went back to high school.
He had a beard when he was 13.
Invest in Apple. Trust me.
Yeah.
Damn, that's too close to home. I was told to do that in 2003, and I told the guy to fuck off. I said,
no,
take your Apple stock ideas.
It will never work.
Dana, you're the anti-Forrest Gump.
Yeah. You go back and get bad advice.
What is that obvious now? What's the? Well, we can't tell right now because everything's just like whoa.
It's gonna It's gonna be a tech that I don't even understand.
I got all my money in female space missions.
Okay, you're doing very well. It's a big week
one
for you.
One.
Oh, that's right. Well, we can talk about that if you want, but
I just went straight into the divine feminine, just all divine feminine. That's the future. No, I'd go to space. Wouldn't you go to space?
Sure.
It's seemingly like the uproar is like how they talked about going to space. Like they weren't acknowledging of the jet fuel enough, but I'd go to space.
Well, the tension is that any rocket could blow up any second in the takeoff.
I guess
phase,
that
right?
would make me nervous.
And that's the sorry, it was a fuse. We didn't trade it out. So
if we lost Gail that way, I'd never forgive us.
Never.
Can you imagine if Oprah just went full Oprah? If that thing exploded and she started beating the shit out of Bezos.
That's her like John Wick movie. She becomes a one Oprah army.
They try to pull her off.
Anybody who drives a Cybertruck suddenly ends up dead.
You want some of this, Oprah? But anyway, I like that Jeff Bezos, everything in his whole ecosystem looks like a dick. Like the spaceship does, the swoop on Amazon does.
His head.
His actual head.
His own head.
Sorry. I don't.
His wiener surprisingly doesn't.
It is. No, it's more square.
It's square.
It's more chode-like.
They're rich and famous.
Sharp
It's fun
edges.
to shit on them.
They're fine.
They're fine, man. But seriously, would you go on the rocket?
Yes.
Because we could do an SNL alumni rocket.
Oh, yeah.
Where? That's what we should do.
All right, troops. Get ready.
Fred Armisen, you'll be in the blue chair.
Who's your dream cast? Like, no. Who's your dream SNL astronaut?
Yeah, who's your dream rocket cast?
Yeah.
Actually, I would cast you as an astronaut.
I'll take it.
Because you could play.
I'll take
you can act and you could play it, and you could play that kind of whatever you call that astronaut vibe.
I'll take it. Dana, I didn't know this was going to be an hour of my heroes complimenting me, but I would have signed up faster.
It is.
Well, we just, you can run, but you cannot hide. Sorry, Taran Killam. We're about to put a
You could
bookmark.
use your bland bachelor sort of character to go up in space to be the everyman.
Exactly.
I just watched Bland Bachelor. What was it called?
Good.
The Bland
Selena Gomez. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I remember that. How often does it happen where people bring up sketches that you have no memory of?
It's never not happened.
Yeah.
It's funny because I will remember everything I did on SNL. And I wasn't like super sketch guy. So I was in like one or two a show and I still cannot remember half of them.
Yeah. I remember my first week very well. And Seth being at the table talking about seeing an episode on VH1 or whatever. And he's like, it turned it on and Amy Poehler was in it. And I was like, oh, I must have been changing backstage. I don't remember this sketch. And he walked onto the screen. He was in the sketch. And I remember thinking to myself, that'll never happen to me. There's no way I will remember every second of this.
Well, 127 shows is the main metric that I read. So probably because you were ubiquitous on the show, 400 sketches.
Yeah.
Probably maybe 500.
A lot. Half of those high school astronauts.
The high school astronaut. That's a
addendum.
I have some film ideas for this dude before we get done, but let's go through his.
Listen to my
addendum. We can transition
Dana.
to do a pitch meeting.
I was at the Good Nights. I saw a clip the other day, and it was when Nirvana was on either. I don't know which time, but I guess Kurt Cobain had purple hair, and he turned around and started making out with Chris Novoselic or Dave Grohl. And it was a big story. And you pull back, and I'm standing right there, in the back, waiting to hug someone or get it over with. Not really watching them kiss. And I'm like, I do not remember being on the Good Nights, and I do not remember seeing them kiss. And that was scary because that was actually something that happened instead of just being in the background of a sketch or something. So I realize it does happen. It's very real what we're talking about.
It is. We're getting deep, heavy, and real. But
Deep, heavy, and real, Dana's new special.
Deep, heavy, and real. No, I know someone says that. When you hug people on the Good Nights, it's kind of interesting. There's a traditional amount of hugging and hugging pressure. And then there's more pressure and longer. And like, geez, I didn't know you felt this way about me. It's like Heidi Gardner.
It's fascinating to like
Heidi Gardner.
She feels that way about everybody. She's a lover. She's a lover.
She is adorable.
It's fascinating how people project onto the Good Nights. Like the only thing I would do is that when the beat would drop in the drums, I would like jump into the air and people caught onto that. But that was like a fun tradition.
Oh, that's cool.
But otherwise it was nice. It was and not always on camera. So sometimes you just see a shoulder hopping into frame or whatever. But it's so funny how people read into it like, oh, look, they didn't hug.
They're angry. Yeah, they skip. The host walks right by you and hugs someone next to you. Oof. On camera.
Burn. Shame.
So you would go to the back and then snake your way toward the lens? Or would you...
Snake.
It depends. I wish I would. Like a regret is I wish I'd stayed in costume more because those are my favorite good nights to see.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Especially when the 10-1 got cut, and you're just like,
oh yeah.
Why is there some like robot clown on
holding a hot dog, and it doesn't make
what was that
you're
gonna
dressed
be?
like a llama. The best part is when you're still in your costume, you're like, barely made it to good nights.
Yeah,
this is Showbiz Live, folks.
Yeah, I do. I love it. Yeah, but in terms of like any who hugged me, who didn't, like so much of I'm just speaking for myself. Like I'm in my own head about my week. Like I literally don't care about anybody else.
Who did you
like,
hug the most? Though was it the host or was
that's
it?
a good question.
Was Kristen Wiig there?
Bayer.
Vanessa Bayer.
Kristen and I overlapped. Kristen and I knew each other before the show too, so. She was always very kind to me. Very
groundlings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Big G.
You're the coolest. The groundlings are the coolest because they just come in loaded. They've already done sketch comedy.
That's nice.
We're stand-ups. We're playing greasy spoons and shit boxes.
It's literally cheating when you go to read through the first day and I go, this guy will suck. And then they got a fucking perfectly buffed out groundling
like
sketch.
A perfect sketch.
What?
You can take it from groundlings and put it on 8H and old Jed's a millionaire,
It is the best training in terms of like the structure. Like there is no other comedy platform. Second City is pretty close and similar, but Groundlings, especially the Sunday Company, is like new show every Sunday, pitching ideas. Mm-hmm. But I love what Chris Rock says about it, in that like stand-up people come in and they know how to write jokes. And that is the difference. Yeah. That's the difference, is that like the joke, I that was something I struggled with. Groundlings are character based, so it's behavioral comedy, right? Like to pare it down. And the stand-ups, I was always so envious and covetous of just knowing
jokes too, Taran.
How to get laughs, that's helpful.
I don't know how to write jokes. Spade's a great joke writer, monologue writer, but he's telling a story and then he has all these laugh points, you call them, but
little tiny tent poles but the sketches are tougher. Go ahead.
Well, the way what you lean in on is what I still find my favorite, where it's like I did see one I went through because that's the cool thing. YouTube, best of Taran, So I will go into a lot of them, but the one with Justin Bieber where he says "glice," and you're totally carrying this sketch with attitude. Of the asshole brother who's really fucking with the date of his sister.
Aggressively insecure.
And played all the beats and committed so hard that it was just so much fun to watch.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, that was a Groundling sketch for sure.
It was?
But
and tell me about it, because I didn't see it, but it was
just
with
explain
the
it, do a little bit of the attitude so he would know.
Yes. So the premise is that Nassim brings home a boyfriend from college, Justin Bieber, and he has to meet her older, like way past his prime, still living at home brother, who like tries to act intimidating, but is pretty pathetic. And Justin's first line is like, it's nice to meet you. I meant to say, I'm glad to meet you. And it's nice, but I said glice. And then my guy's like, glice? What the hell is glice? You sound so stupid. And then throughout the sketch, all these details about my life come out.
It always comes back to glice.
And then he can't let go of it. He can't let go of the one thing he has against this beautiful, charming young man who's come home
of a jerk, and the rhythm in there, it's like a joke in a way that you're going, glice all that, and then you kind of break it down again. Oh no, don't get me wrong, man, you're a cool brother.
Yeah, and then there's like a big laugh in it that was just me saying remember. Yes. Like I say glice and I say remember, and it had happened 30 seconds ago.
Yeah. He seems pretty cool though. Was he fun that week?
He was young. He was young. And he's entering a phase, but I had good experiences with him.
Whatever that means. That's a good cloaked.
It was like I feel like it was pre-roast, post post Belieber documentary.
Right.
But it's so interesting, like the currency in SNL, where I'm so desperate for laughs, speaking of laughs, but in many ways it's better to get like a whoop, like to get like the girls screaming, that was like a big part of like Timberlake's currency and stuff, is like they're not necessarily howling or side splitting, but they're just like
when they would scream for Justin, did you wave also? Like
Yeah, exactly.
Oh.
There's some of it's for me. Trust
Yeah,
me.
some of it's for me. It's a kind of a split crowd.
I won't point to which ones because I'm humble, but part of this is for me for sure.
Yeah. All right. Well,
did you and Beebs?
Bye, guys.
No, I just
don't. Sorry.
I got all these lists.
We've been on a commercial for the last 12 minutes.
Yeah, we're going to record. We're going to start recording. This is called our warm up.
No, you should have talked to Bieber about what it's like. You understand the quick fame.
Yeah. Let me lay some
sketch
things
about
out
him.
for
Like,
you.
man, I've been there, dude. I just want to give you some advice.
Yeah. I mean, I started on the show a little bit older. Like I was 28 when I started, which is
pretty young.
I know that Pete Davidson and Bieber connected and we're friendly for a while. But I was already a dad when I started on the show. So
weird.
I wasn't very good at like the post hours hang.
Weird.
Yeah.
Weird, man. So who did you overlap? Like you went in 2010. So Hader was still there.
Yeah. Correct.
And
Yeah.
Sudeikis.
Yep.
So when did they?
I was there for 2 seasons with Wig and Sandberg, and then they left after my second season, and then Bill, Jason, and Fred stayed one more season.
Right.
And then
Shit,
I did
that long
another
ago.
grip of
When Kristen Wiig was it 2012? You're saying 2012?
Yeah.
That was when she left.
Yeah.
Shit.
Hey, time flies, man.
I mean, my
Yeah,
God, I left in 1888, so I guess it's all relative.
Yeah. I can see the musket on your wall.
Right after the Constitution came out, we did one bit about that, and then I split.
So,
and live from New York, it's Saturday night. Reload.
I like when people quit the show for like they got a commercial and they're like, "I'm out. I hit the big time," and you're like, "Well,
that's it. I'm done."
Well, now they do commercials of sketches while you're watching the show, and I'm only envious.
Oh yeah, the Californian.
They have the Californian sketch. I go
right.
We will.
Right.
We had to. Kevin Nealon and I were forced to turn down a Nike campaign. Just do it in 1988.
No.
With Hans and
Franz? It was going to be Just Do It. So now they're like doing. I mean, I'm jealous, but I'm happy for him.
Can you ask him again? Can you hit up Phil Knight and be like, "Hey,
man, we're still pissed. We're still funny." Yeah, let me tell you.
We still have the sweatsuits and pillows.
They still fit.
Hey man, those guys are evergreen. I wanted to go on the 50th before I got the flu as Hans and Franz, and just
it would have been awesome.
You
were so missed.
Great.
Yeah,
you were so.
I think you
missed,
guys
Dana.
were fully loaded, but thank you, Taran. I thought you.
No, dude. I mean, you are a legend,
I don't know about that,
so that it was felt. It was felt. It certainly was.
Did I host the show when you were there and you did a Harrison Ford at read through, which kind of impressed me? The attempt. I go. Who is this? Who is this kid?
We got it on. Like you did host, and I got to be in a church lady, which a highlight for me. And as Ted Cruz, less of a highlight for me. But then I got Harrison Ford on, and I'm a really big Star Wars nerd. J.J. Abrams reached out, and he was editing the first new Star Wars, like the one that they brought back, and he said, "Hey, will you do me a favor? I need a line of dialogue off camera from Harrison.
Oh my God.
And I can't get him for 2 months. So we just want it for the real so that it doesn't take you out of it. It's like a special effects thing. Will you do it?
Get it.
So I got to record.
Plane.
Like, you take care of Chewie. You get to the Falcon. And like
you got it. That's great.
And he said he used it up to literally the final mix. And so that was really cool.
And Harrison went, "Who the fuck is this?
Who the fuck is this? My house."
Harrison Ford's
get out of my house.
He's the coolest, man. He is the movie star.
He goes, "Get off my plane." Then he goes, "Get out of my ship." And he goes, "Leave my coffee shop.
Give me back my whip.
Stop sharing my parachute.
Don't even share my password.
Stop being a working girl."
That was a good one. You were a whore and milk money.
Yeah. Why? Stop being such a witness. Can I get a witness?
And of course, the iconic Chewie, get me out of here.
Chewie, take care of Chewie. Yeah.
Chewie, your fleas are getting on me.
But you were great, Danny. You were a great host. And Spade, you've always been so kind to me.
Thank you.
The first time we met was like the day that the Sandman, and I haven't earned saying that, but I like to say it because that's what everybody calls him.
I love that.
On Grown Ups 2, he came out for a day.
Oh, with the car wash?
The car wash scene.
Oh, it was one of the best scenes.
That was such a fun day, and you were so nice to all of us. And Schneider was sitting that one out. Oh. You were sort of filling us in on why. And you were so
he was
cool.
sitting Grown Ups 2 out.
He sat that one out. Yeah,
I know.
And then I don't know if you remember this, David, but at the 40th, you were in the end of the Californian sketch. You and Cecily did the Bynes, and it was Saturday rehearsal, and you and I got to talking, and you and I walked up to like the Rainbow Room to the party together, and you were telling me like beat for beat the Eddie Murphy exchange.
Oh yeah, did I?
And you're telling me that, and you're like, yeah, and it was stressful, and we're sitting at Top of the Rock. I don't know if you remember this, but I couldn't believe it. It was like we live in a scenario. We live in a universe. Like we live in
Matrix.
a Matrix, like made up. Yeah. You're telling me the story. You're telling me basically the end of the story. Like Eddie came, and then and he walks in with Brett Ratner.
Yeah.
He walks in over your shoulder and made a beeline for you and shook your hand, and you were so gracious to each other, and it was such a cool moment. That like clearly you made peace and it was all good, but I couldn't believe it. I was like, I'm watching like the made for TV movie.
I love it.
Simulation.
I
That's
saw
what
him
I
at
meant.
this
We're living
one
in a
too,
simulation.
and he was nice again. So
I'm
sure he's annoyed by that story. It's so dumb, but it's a kind of a good little juicy one, even though it's too far back.
Is it done now? Is it really done? Or is it still
100%
it still
done.
Came up like a few months ago.
Don't be surprised if you see the two of us in a spaceship going somewhere.
Yeah. Flying in the rocket together. Yeah. It was so cool in that moment, like at the 40th, like you were the first person he walked up to and shook your hand. He was so cool, and it felt good. And it was like, oh, Brett Ratner's here too.
You got excited about Brett Ratner. Not quite as excited, but
Tell me everything about Rush Hour.
Oh yeah, Rush Hour. God, he had it made. Rush Hour.
Rush Hour. Yeah, he's got back end.
Chris Tucker does stand up. I just saw Chris Tucker was going to be at like Yamava or something in Palm Springs. I'm like, I would love to watch Chris Tucker do stand up. I don't even know what his stand up is like.
Let's have him on this podcast because he's interesting.
I would love that.
He did 3 Jackie Chan movies. 20 million each for the last 2, and then he's been a little mysterious in his own lane, but then he came out recently and is doing something.
Kind of an interesting move to turn down 20 million for something, for literally anything. And then my OnlyFans, when it hit 20, I thought I'd stop, but I'm addicted.
You just do it for the passion.
Greedy.
No, I just do it. Oh, you know who's on? Amanda Bynes. You know Amanda Bynes?
I was on the Amanda show back in
the day. I know, that was a
trick
question.
Yeah.
He fed him.
I'm only telling you this because she announced it yesterday, but she said, which is smart up front, it's not going to be sleazy stuff.
Sure.
It'll be my day and stuff like that, which is still interesting because she's very interesting. But it's 50. So I did a little stutter step. Yeah.
Is that a lot? Or I don't know OnlyFans.
I would say that seems high.
Hi.
Now, you wonder why they're all making $20 million a year. I don't know how, but it must be a volume thing. But Amanda, who you worked with, Wade, how old were you guys then?
Yeah, it was my first job. Literally the last week of high school, I got cast on her show. And so we worked together for like 3 weeks then. And then I went away to college and like, I didn't have an agent anymore. I was focused on school, and they called me back to do more, and they helped me get an agent. Like being on the Amanda show kind of like started my grown-up acting career. And we were friends, and then we did a movie together, Big Fat Liar. And she was the best. It was a very important relationship to me in my life. And yeah,
was she like, how old were you when you started? What's the Amanda show? Was she like 11 or like really young?
She's 14, 15 when she was
and then she
show.
got movies, and that was one of the movies she did where like She's the Man was one, of course, I remember. Is that what it's called? She's the Man? The soccer one?
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Channing Tatum.
And hilarious. And I always thought she's so great. So
she's one of the most talented people.
I think she's one of those people everyone pulls for, like Britney. Like, it's a very tough world out here in showbiz at whatever level, and they were at a high level. And Yeah, she seems
at
like
that age too, like to be a full like Lucille Ball, Carol Burnett dynamic, and had the good, she's truly one of the best.
Right, and she's good at it, funny, very cute. And it's just such a weird world out here that we're. Yeah. And when they're young, you're right. You just don't know.
Ariana
the shit
Grande,
they deal with.
Timberlake.
Yeah.
Ariana
just
Grande.
Talent. Well, I was going to ask you because you think, okay, high school senior, and then you go do that. Like in the sort of neurosis, fear, paranoia, whatever. How are you mentally navigating show business? Like, were you super scared getting on SNL, or you done so much that you maybe were more confident? I'm just curious.
Yeah, like I started auditioning very young. Like I think I was 5 years old when I did my first commercial audition.
Wow.
And fortunately was not successful at all.
I'm Terrence SAG-AFTRA.
I love milkshakes. Yeah.
And your mom took you here.
4-6 SAG-AFTRA.
Slate, please.
Buckwald and Associates.
That was Buckwald.
Is that really what it was?
Yeah.
Sunbarth and Veneri.
But so like was always adjacent and enough exposure, but without any of the trappings of success, thank goodness. And then
all the hassle, no worry about
all that 20
success.
million. Yeah, still working. Yeah. And then in high school, I went to the Performing Arts High School here in LA, LOXA. And so started doing theater and really loved musical theater in particular, and was going to college for musical theater. Mm-hmm. And then in that sort of like reconnection with the Amanda Show and getting representation, I started auditioning again, and on a fluke got Mad TV when I was 19.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
wow.
like doing lots of impressions of WB stars and stuff like that, and then my characters were just impressions of my teachers, that I didn't like.
Now, who's on with you that we would know right around then?
I was there for Sasso's last year, and Alex Borstein, and then I was with Mo Collins and Michael McDonald and Stephanie Weir,
Artie Lang,
Andrew Daly. Already had come and gone already. Mm-hmm. I was like the 7th season, so I was like kind of deeper in, and was just in way over my head and like, what is this? And SketchCon, I'm a theater actor, and then loved it so much, and so many of the people, particularly on the writing side that I love, like Michael Hitchcock and Jennifer Joyce, were Groundlings people. Mm-hmm. So I left Mad TV and started taking classes at Groundlings, and kind of then had my eye on the prize for SNL. Then SNL became
and did that help you knowing a little bit about it? Was it similar?
Yes. SNL and Mad TV, in that they're like, just in that they're sketch comedy shows, but I think, where Mad TV probably had a lot more chefs at the top level, SNL has Lorne, and I think that's probably the biggest difference of all.
He's got an aura. I just have to back up for a second. So you go in high school, you tell your parents, well, I'm going to go to high school. And you were living in Big Bear, right?
That's right.
So, okay, great. Where do you want to go? I want to go to a performing arts high school, and I want to pursue musical theater. And you knew this at 17, 18. And they went,
and they were in support of it. No, and if anything, my mom was encouraging of it. She kind of, her great uncle was Robert Stack, and her cousin David Bowe is an actor. Like, so she knew.
We just both
February 27th.
If you can't do the
Yamava Studios, Chris Tucker turns down $20 million. No one knows why.
Yamava Studios.
But I love anyone who does an impression not well and just says the name. I'm Robert Stack, and you kind of hypnotize people. I guess
it does help.
I guess it's good,
Why are we saying it like that? That's the first thing I think of.
Will Forte.
I'm Robert Stack.
He did that in his audition. He said one of his audition moments for SNL was, "Hello, I'm Martin Sheen. And if I don't sound like myself, it's because I have a cold. But if you do think I sound like him, great." And that was the whole bit.
Well, that's Will Forte has his own lane at SNL.
He's got
his own, man. He's the
potato chip
greatest
sketch. He was surprised how big a fan I was of that sketch where him and Sudeikis go shithouse over a bowl of potato chips and just full tilt commitment to drama and crying. Because he thought he took one of his potato chips. It's just Will Forte.
The best perk of the job is going on the server and seeing like Cut for Time sketches. And he had a sketch called Finders Keepers. It was a season finale, and Alec Baldwin was the host. And Baldwin is coming back from the beach, and he's like, where's my car? I just parked my car here. And Forte has a metal detector at the beach, and he's sitting on the hood of his car that's covered in sand. And he's like, sorry, buddy, finders keepers. And Alec goes, what are you talking about? That's my car. Get off the hood. And I think there's 3 lines of dialogue in the full exchange, and then Forte launches into a full song called Finders Keepers, Losers Weepers, it's the law of the beach. And the whole sketch is just this song explaining the rules of Finders Keepers at the beach.
And it
brings me so much joy. And it
played to silence.
It was pretty quiet, I think. Thank goodness. The nice thing about a musical sketch is the music's playing, so at least
it seems loud, like things are happening.
There's some decibels being achieved.
Decibels happening, yeah. How sickening when it doesn't work.
Yeah.
The worst is when you go in there like, that's for sure cut, but you still walk in the room like this. Huh?
Yeah.
1% hopeful. Like,
it's on the right side.
Did they think it was so funny that no one laughed?
They should do a short
short.
film of people coming in, because now they're back on into Lorne's office, and they glance over, and you can tell by their attitude that their sketch is to the right.
They should have a camera in the wall, Dana.
Yeah.
When we walked in, and my first time they opened Lorne's office, I don't know how they do it now, but we wait outside. It's so thirsty and gross.
Yeah.
And I had my Yakov Smirnoff outfit on, my first update. And Dennis was in there. For some reason, Dennis was in there. And they opened the door, and I see like Downey and them all pouring out. And Dennis puts his hand on me and goes, you can take off the beard, Spud. And I was like, what? And I walk in there, my thing is moved over.
Oh,
sickening.
Is that helpful? Is that a nice thing?
No, I would have found out in 3 more seconds.
You can lose the facial hair at this point.
Just no one connecting eyes tells you something.
I never housed more handfuls of popcorn than with a cut sketch.
And small talk. So who's the host next week?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and
act
like you're not hurt and kind of clap for the other sketches.
Yeah. Great. Yeah, part of the process. Not personal. Part of the process.
Wayne's World cold open stayed in.
Oh, good. No, I wanted to see it again. Good.
Yeah, I got cocky. If my stuff was cut, I just walk slowly over to Lorne, get right up in his schnoz and go, seriously, dude? I don't think so.
Come on, man.
Let's move it back over. Or no.
Worst mistake. That reminds me, when I tried to get a manager, it reminds me of that scenario. And I got Gervitz. But back then, Dana, we have the same manager. And back then, it was between him and someone else. And he goes, do the right thing. Just call him. It's always do the right thing. By the way, I never want to do the right thing again, because the right thing never is like the fun thing. And he goes, no, I wish I could have texted him. But now he goes, just call him. He's a big boy, just, hey, went another way, because you never know, I said, hey, man, it didn't work out. I'm going to try with this other guy. Who knows? He might suck. And, whatever. The guy goes, you just made the worst fucking mistake of your life. And I was like, God dang. And that scarred me forever. I was not ready for it. And I was new in showbiz going, I don't want to make any enemies. He goes, he's a big boy. He was not a big boy. He's a small boy.
I still feel guilty about that reaction I had with you.
That manager was Dana Carvey.
It was those breakups are hard. I had one of those too. Yeah. And I got was like, well, yeah, hey, I had to break up with someone I'd been with. And he's like, listen, people get jobs and they like to move on and shake it up. And some people stay loyal. And that's okay that you didn't want to go that way.
Oh, he threw that in.
And then they throw in, we just had a kid.
And I have children to feed.
Am I going to be here?
Have you seen a picture of my baby?
That's my responsibility.
And my house.
Here's my child.
Yeah. And
here's my chart from my doctor.
I'm going to put him on. Ooh, your
malignant.
Kid? Yeah, tell him. You tell him. I can't break his heart.
Hello, Mr. Spade. I love you.
Oh, thank you. Listen, I'm out.
Never miss an episode of Lights Out.
I would just say,
oh, you like Lights Out? That's nice.
Everyone loves Lights Out, but I said never name a show that makes it easy to cancel. Hey, Lights Out.
Sure.
Yeah. Lights Out for good.
You want to do a show that's like 7th season.
Are there versions that have worked of like a negative sounding title that's been successful?
No, Dana's positive.
Deadwood
is good. There should be one called Dead on Arrival. That's a good one to critique.
DOA. Yeah.
DOA got resuscitated. Dana's got Critics' Choice.
Critics' Choice, my special from the 90s. I just called it Critics' Choice. There was no online, nothing. And so my sister would call me and be in the TV guide or whatever. You got Critics' Choice again, man. Congratulations.
That's awesome.
Critics' Choice,
Hilarious.
4 stars. Yeah.
Me and my siblings know the Ross Perot scat, like dep dep dep, can I finish? Get dep dep, can I finish? Sabadip dap deep pop boobity dap sabadip dap doop, can I finish? Can I finish?
That's funny.
Like we knew that we
Can a
watched
tuna
that all
fish?
the time.
Can I get a tuna fish? No, what you
One time.
If you want to make it, I distilled it to Ross Perot's James Brown. Can I come in on the one? Can I come in on the one? Can I come in on the one? Yeah, it is just a song. But to that, one of my favorite impressions all time is your Matthew McConaughey. And I felt the first time you saw it, then I saw it a second time, and then you were so in the
bless
because
your soul. Bless you.
Did you audition with it?
Caesar. Praise from Caesar.
Sorry, Dave.
No, it's better than even a great impression. It's like a character.
Thanks,
it's an
man.
extrapolation into a character, and you had so many hooks. And I wish we could just play it right now because.
Oh, thanks, dude.
Don't you get reaction to that? I haven't seen anyone do that.
People like that. Yeah, people like that one a lot. That came out of because everybody has a McConaughey. Like it's pretty
you were probably
overdone.
Not
early,
like yours. You kind of you own
thanks.
it. I mean,
it was watching True Detective. I was obsessed with that first season of True Detective, and it was so indulgent out there in the stars. Celestial, bing bang, shooting around. What do we do when we're cosmic light? It's just like him, just like
that's a good
riffing
different
on
one. Kind
yeah, that he's all these hippie references and all these little sound effects. And
yes,
stuff.
and it's and when he won the Oscar, maybe for Dallas Buyers or whatever, he's like talking out there to my wolf pack, hunting groups of us, primal, getting the meat roasting on the spit on the fire, but there's plenty of spots for people to come around.
Like,
what's going on? You saying? What are you saying?
It's fun.
But he's always so positive too. I always liked doing like positive energy ones because like I would struggle if it was a criticism, or if you were like, if it was a takedown, it's a little bit harder. And that was so fun because he was just being full, uncut, authentic McConaughey. And I remember writing that one. That's one that you sat down for 30 minutes and improvised 50 different wild lines and like people responded to it and then spent 6 hours and didn't go home and slept on the floor for my grape stomping sketch or whatever. And of course that tanks at the table.
Yeah, I heard about that bombing.
It was a bad one. It was infamous.
It got out here.
All right.
I was terrible at pitching too. I was really bad at the pitch. And I actually did because I have like a small role in 12 Years a Slave, which doesn't make sense to
I remember you pop up in that movie.
Performer.
I remember that. It was like,
hi, I'm Taran. Cameo.
Hey,
did you had it?
All right, what are we doing here? We're stealing liberty. We're entrapping people, regressing, making America great again. No, but I did a bit for almost an entire season where I would start to pitch the host on an idea. I was like, well, I know you're in a movie with a plane, so that's great. And I thought we could play pilots. Because, when I was in 12 Years a Slave, what I found about the process that was most rewarding, and then I'd go really indulgent, and it got some chuckles at first, and then it was terrible. And then Brian Tucker had to tell me, he's like, don't do that anymore. Don't do that. Lorne has said something. Don't do that anymore.
Why is he doing
It's
it?
funny.
Okay,
I mean,
okay,
it's like,
okay.
I don't understand all that. That place, that place can be a little.
It made
weird.
Chrissy Teigen uncomfortable.
By the way, when you did Ted Cruz, I don't think I was hosting that time. I think I was doing Fallon, and then Lorne said, "And you'll do Church Lady." He tells you it's a Thursday.
Awesome.
I thought I
Come
was
down the
flying tomorrow.
stairs.
You'll be in the outfit. You'll wear the Church Lady wig. You wear the dress.
You'll wear it on the flight
You'll
home.
do clever put downs and Lorne.
I know how to do it, Lorne.
But then the interesting thing about that was that Daryl came on and did the Trump that we all knew before the new Trump.
Yeah.
Which was great.
I love.
And Daryl was Trump, looked like Trump, incredible Trump. But then
Yes.
Trump in 2016 just came in with all these different hooks, and all the stuff we see today. And so that's why he sort of felt bad
What
that he
was
didn't get
Daryl's
to do
like?
Trump. Well, it was old. It was Trump from the 90s, you know. It was just very here. It was none of the, we're going to do this shit, all these different hooks, and we're going to do it. We're going to do the bragging, you know, it was all kind of new.
My favorite Daryl one was the Domino's pizza commercial. He would do those commercial ones.
Yeah.
Like, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to tell you the thing. And they say, oh, Mr. Trump, can you focus the camera? I think I'm going to focus the camera. I think that was a good idea that I had. Like, it was all that bluster. Yeah. And James, which I just like, I think James Austin Johnson is just a full genius. Like, it's I would watch his videos before he was hired.
Me too.
Where he was talking about Scooby-Doo and stuff.
I would say for people who might get the reference, he's the Miles Davis of that impression. It's better than an impression. It's got so many, it's like jazz that you're missing all the hooks. But Daryl's...
We did a charity event together where he did karaoke as Trump and is just
so
freestyling in between verses, and it's amazing.
He's good at improvising as Trump.
He's so good.
Very hard to do.
Yeah, you can give him any TV show from the 70s. When he was on our podcast live in Texas, they just the Brady Bunch, and then he's right on Trump. He knows that so well.
Peter Brady.
Yeah.
Likes to criticize himself. He's doing it to get friends. I don't need to do that. No one wants to criticize Trump.
But Daryl's feelings were hurt because they went with Alec Baldwin. But I said, that's just a totally different idea and choice. And so it wouldn't be a competitive thing. It's just like, that was just, you know, I think.
All right, but what a weird thing. Start off with a cast member or start off with a big star. I think that's when Lorne finally was like, that a cold opening with a big star guaranteed that's not the host helps.
Yeah.
Is it fair? We don't know, but it helps.
Well, did that start? Because I just went and did Biden, and before I did it, I made sure it was Steve Hook. And this, I swear to God, I would have backed out. I said, does anyone want to do Biden on the cast? And be honest with me, because Mikey Day was doing whatever. And he said, no one wants to do it. Trust me. So then I did it. But this thing of like, you know, older cast members and movie stars coming in. Did you have some of that? Or when did that start?
It's gone beyond a launching platform. It's now an institution, and you have to maintain an institution. And there's a quality to that. Right.
I can have Bob Lilfie do the state attorney general, or I can have like Matt Damon. You know.
Listen, I mean, there's so much to speak to the brilliance of Lorne. You know, having just celebrated the 50th, which was like such a joyful weekend, other than your absence. That was probably Dana. The biggest blemish of all.
Hey man, I'll just say it. I'm just gonna say it. 60th. That's all I'm going to say.
60th,
you already booked the hotel, booked the tickets.
We'll use filters. You'll get your neck whoopee tape back.
You have to use real glass. That's the.
But trick. I maintain, just to start the conversation, that no one else could have done what Lorne's done, and there were so many episodes of Saturday Night Live Intrigue or whatever where the masters in charge basically would say, you got to do an hour, you got to pre-tape it, you got to change the theme. So Lorne stayed with the brand, but also was very flexible with the brand. You know, as it changed, the culture changed. So go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I completely agree with that. I think that's right. And I think that one of the many aspects of his insightfulness as a producer is, you know, you got to get people talking about you. And if they're not talking about it, then it's wasted air a little bit. You know what I mean? So I think like a Baldwin hire gets people talking about it, gets eyeballs.
Now you get it.
Yeah. Too late. Way too late.
We were in the analog stage, early analog, that it was just a small bulletin board with a few letters on it. And now it's blasted on YouTube. So the paradigm is shifted, will evolve with the moment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, something I love about your podcast and any sort of like SNL focused podcast is it's this free therapy. You know what I mean? To be like, was I a weirdo? Was I okay? No, there's at least 5 more people that had a similar feeling or experience. And then also inversely, like, oh no, I was probably a weirdo about that aspect of the show. But I'm really enjoying the Lonely Island Seth Meyers podcast too, because I for the same reason, but I also feel that those guys, the Lonely Island, will never get as much credit as they really deserve for for adapting the format for a new generation.
Right. Yeah.
Like that's probably the biggest change. Speaking to what you were talking about, Dana, of like, maintaining quality, maintaining its brand identity. And yet now there are 4 guaranteed pre-tapes per episode.
Yeah.
There's a full studio.
Yeah. And they'll get the hosts will do pre-tapes on all day Friday. Get them up at 6 a.m. and do a whole pre-tape all day. It is hard.
One sketch.
But so that is, and Andy and his
Lazy
buddies,
Sunday was the beginning of going, wait, what is this? And you realize right away, oh my God, this is what, plus he's a good looking dude. Everything hit. It was like cool, good looking video. Then people start watching it. And you're like, they're watching it where? Like that was beginning of YouTube, I think.
Yeah, no, I think you're exactly right. In terms of like an injection of relevancy, no one has had a more direct effect on the show in the last 30 years.
And I got to get to know Andy better just doing the
it was
SNL.
like a Pete. You need a good looking dude in there that younger people kind of go, oh, why would I watch SNL? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They need a reason. I got a question for you.
It's just really smart. I do love musical. I would love to be in one. I just do love when Andy's, even the stuff he did recently, the stuff he did recently was fantastic. And it is something fun. Were you in one of those pre-tape?
The anxiety video is so smart. And he did it for the 40th. It was great too. The breaking video about people who break. They're incredibly smart, but they're joyful. I love those guys. I respect them so much. And I think like my first week, it was like, I'm going to be in a digital short. I have made it. I have arrived. And I had like one off-camera line in a video called Booger Man.
There you go. That's SNL.
Yeah. I was like, okay, all right. They're not all lazy Sundayers, but
I'd read for Booger Man. Taran, when I left SNL, it was sort of decided toward the end of the season. When Adam and Farley left, it was a little weirder, like vague. Where I had heard later they were fired. I didn't even hear it from them. I heard it like 2 years ago. And when you left the show, what is the way you get information? Is it direct from Lorne? Is it an agent calls an agent or business affairs? How does it work?
Yeah, my manager at the time called me, but they were doing the Marty and Maya variety show during the summer. And I was directing a film that summer. So I was in Canada, and I was wisely or unwisely, like ready to move back to LA, ready to be with my family, ready to kind of be done with the schedule of the show. And I think probably have made it known, not always in the most gracious of ways. And they asked for like an extension that summer. They said, hey, we need more time. We're producing Marty and Maya before we make our decisions. Right. And I pushed back. I said like, no, tell me now, or let's be done. And through people, it was like, no. They're doing it for everybody. They're doing it. And so we said, okay, with some caveats of other jobs and like clearing my post schedule for editing the film and blah, blah, blah. So we said, okay, 2-week extension. And then 3 weeks goes by and you don't hear anything. And then like in the 4th week, my manager calls and goes like, I think I've got good news. And they've decided not to pick up your contract. Is how it was phrased to me.
I mean, at least you're ready to go and you're not totally blindsided, like moving back to, like I would move home every summer back to LA. Yeah. Lose the apartment, everything, because they just would not tell you. And they wouldn't say, of course, but it's a technicality. They were like, we have no idea. And they wouldn't, encourage you to say, you're coming back. Just let us, So go home. But that is a weird process because Dana, I don't think Dana had this exactly, but
Dana still has rose petals stuck to the bottom of his feet.
My God.
Hey, once the bitch came out, it anchors the show. I mean, but anyway, I just wanted to say that we've talked to people recently who just auditioned 2 or 3 times, and these are great comedians, to get on SNL, and really feeling such regret that either they pushed at their audition, and so then when you look at you with a baby and a movie, and you're already in the Hall of Fame in my money. 6 seasons, So it was just odd because you probably would have maybe done one more or not. But it sounds like
6 is a good run
on the fence, and so
6 was enough for me. I mean, everything you just said, Dana, means a lot to me, and I'm very grateful to you for saying
it's
it.
True.
I've done the work. I've made peace, and I've also really been able to take more responsibility for my participation in that. I got what I asked for, quite honestly. And it's not fair of me to go like, but I didn't want it in that way.
No, because the truth is, if it's between like 2 cast members and they're like, this would kill the one guy and you have one foot out the door, they're like, I think he'd be fine with it.
Yeah.
And we just move on. It makes it easier in a way.
I think
yes.
so. There is sort of, well, it's such a bizarre psychosocial dynamic just for every reason. And Lorne's said that part of his aloofness was to protect himself, because everyone would want to go in and what about this and that and so forth and so on. So, but I just see it run as a total success, obviously. I mean, it's
thanks.
I don't even, how many people really got on there, really landed and had reoccurring characters, and it's hard.
Do you take, I would imagine, kind of happened with me where you're so burned out, but after a month or two when the show's back on, you get your legs back and you're like, it would be fun to go in. But you also, you realize don't think like that because it's the day-to-day new host. What are you writing? What do you got? If you could pick and choose when you came on, that's different.
Sure.
But man, every week is just such a stressful grind.
Well, I would put this in the ether because you were just there. And I think you should come on and do Matthew McConaughey for a reason that he,
whatever
lit off a firecracker or something. I think that.
Yeah, I mean, I being back for the 50th was truly like healing and joyful. Like it was really positive, and I have to assume almost everyone like me went in with your defenses up, like your dukes up a little bit, and from word one, it was just like appreciation and reflection and gratitude, and swapping stories. And then Mulaney put me in his musical piece for one line, which I was not expecting, and that felt
and so,
lovely
a rat
and
costume.
great.
What was the costume?
Yeah, as Pizza Rat.
Were you
Pizza
Pizza Rat? That's great.
I was Pizza Rat, man.
We were there.
That's history now, man.
I think
I went as Halloween as Pizza Rat one year.
Spade had, and I've heard multiple people say this now, and it was true from the first blocking rehearsal. Spade had the laugh of the entire show.
Oh, I love you saying that.
Well, we've heard this from other people.
Yeah.
It's factual. It is factual because I was in that sketch. So I watched it when we're like rehearsing downstairs, not even for cameras.
Yep.
And I got a feel for it. Everybody laughs. We do it in front of camera. I got it. Every crew member laughs. And that's always the best indicator if something's going to work.
Of America.
They've just seen it all. And they're so, And there was not a time you delivered that line that it did not get a full voiced laugh from everybody in the room. It was awesome.
And I watched it.
Awesome.
I watched the show live, and I remember how funny that was. And then I didn't know if Mulaney could quite hear it, but there was this other secondary laugh that's on the soundtrack. The arms is because it's so dry and weird and quirky and so unexpected because the musical is so effusive. And there's one guy who's just in the stands.
And it goes on forever.
We got it. It's a 20-minute
long.
sketch.
So many setups. Every part of the stage.
Yeah. So you're not the only one who said that. And writers, Higgins told us, all the writers, that was their favorite line of the whole 50th. So there you go, David.
So listen, to even get a line, like you said, to even be in that sketch, because you're in nothing when you land. And I said, Higgins, don't worry about me. I'm coming. I'm not. And then Mulaney goes, hey, Mulaney might want to throw you in something. I'm like, done. Whatever it is, same thing. So to get one that actually like that was super fun, and to be weird enough to go in the audience. And
but also so tailor-made. Like there isn't a cast member, past, present, future.
That was perfect.
That could have landed it as good as you. Like it was tailored to the point where people asked me after the fact. Like, I'm telling you, in my own life, they're like, so what happened? Did he actually leave, like, during rehearsal and they came up with it? I was like, no. That was by design from the outset.
It's his specialty, that, not pushing.
It's very lucky to have something like that where it would fit me because, also the pressure of going one line, they go, and Wally goes, do you need a cue card for this? And he's like rolling his eyes. I go, I guess I don't. He's like, you don't. And I'm like, all right, I don't.
Like, and to over dissect it, like it's true
stupid.
to your voice. No, this is what we do professionally, but it's true to your voice. It also breaks the fourth wall. So it speaks to it being live.
Yeah.
It also speaks to we're celebrating the generations and like, this is your thing. This is different from my time. Like it just was like perfectly constructed and layered.
I appreciate it.
And always got the biggest laugh.
I love it.
There you
Thank
go.
You.
That's a pretty nice feather in your
Thank
cap.
you.
It was only
Let's
the 50th.
end with that because that's the best.
Yeah, it is. In the end of the day, it just, when we look back at our time there, we never ever want to do a military analogy. It's like being in the Marines. Forget that. Sure. But it is some kind of esprit de corps because you can get humiliated on that show. You can crush. You can get any kind of emotion you can imagine. And it's hard to get on. And everyone wants to be on it in the comedy world. And so I think I'm sure that was the vibe of the 50th. Like anyone who did it and did it well, it's just respect.
I think the 50th for us, the camaraderie is more akin to like we were in the Blue Origin together. The space thing that just went up.
We've been in space for 12 minutes.
That's how tight we were, the bond.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's not the army.
We were all Katy Perry that night.
Yeah.
We were all Katy Perry.
The stress, the ups, the downs.
You have to buckle.
Yeah.
You have to unbuckle.
Yeah. We had the training. Well, thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Nice chatting. Had a great time.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. Hey, are they going to pick up that animated pilot we did together or what?
Taran and I did. What was it called? We were in a booth somewhere doing this animated thing, and I guess it just didn't go, but it was
not
fun.
The Tina Fey one, is it?
No, it goes back before that.
You were like an evil billionaire.
I was an evil billionaire.
Yeah. It was precious.
There's so much.
Yeah. I was hoping that's what this was about, was you telling me you got picked up.
The pickup?
Yeah.
Well,
but this has been great too.
Yeah. Just one last thing. You're going to be in a show on ABC for the second season. I mean, there's so much showbiz. It's obviously understatement of the year, but yeah, everybody works. Everyone's doing an animated thing or whatever thing, and no one knows what anyone's doing unless it's some massive, gigantic whatever, so.
Totally. Yeah, high potential ABC.
Oh, high potential. Okay.
And you got to do Spam-A-Lot, fucker.
Yeah, dude, that was
Monty Python.
The best. And Eric was there. Was there, and like when we first started rehearsing, they're like, "Well, he may not be around much and stuff." And then we do like a first dress rehearsal, and he's backstage. He's like, "I think we can beat that joke." I'm like, "Okay." Okay, Python.
Yeah, just to be anything Python.
Anything you want.
And you are perfect for that. You are, that is your lane. You can do that whenever you feel like it. Musical Broadway.
Yeah, it was a beautiful marriage of I think the first movie I ever quoted, was Holy Grail. And it's only a flesh wound. Yeah.
Yes.
Nearly a flesh wound. Oh yeah. I love Was that Life of Brian?
Bite your legs off.
Yeah.
That's Holy Grail. Yeah.
Oh, great.
And then, having started wanting to pursue musical theater, it was really like this perfect marriage.
Wow. All right. Well,
in New York,
you're still incredibly young, so you're going to have to do this for a long, long time. But
great.
David, do you have a final joke or something?
No, I appreciate talking to him and had a good time today.
Yeah, I admire you both. I respect you so much. I've been a fan my whole life. So
thank you.
To have rubbed elbows is a great honor too.
Dana, we should be playing the Good Nights music right now.
Yeah,
while we say this.
Zoom hug. Special thank you to Dave Spade, Dana Carvey, Tony McCartney.
All right, see you, bud.
Bye.
Peace out.
This has been a presentation of Odyssey. Please follow, subscribe, leave a like, a review, all this stuff. Smash that button, whatever it is, wherever you get your podcasts. Fly on the Wall is executive produced by Dana Carvey and David Spade, Jenna Weiss-Berman of Odyssey, and Heather Santoro. The show's lead producer is Greg Holtzman.